All right, so you're live.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right, man, you're live.
we're ready to go. So we were just saying for 5 minutes whilst we're just greeting each other that we're both feeling a little bit restless.
Hmm.
I don't know whether there's something in the air, and so Ziggy says, "Well, let's have this conversation because lots of people are." Doubtless feeling the same because we
Hmm.
are heading towards very peculiar times. Lots of people are feeling insecure and they are starting to clutch at lots of different things. And of course, it seems like the whole world's falling back into Christianity. Some big names falling into Christianity, and thinking people. And it's kind of like, how does that work? I don't know how that works, but God works in mysterious ways. But with me, I've fallen out of love with religion and all that stuff. I've become quite scathing and scornful.
Hmm.
I've been making, quite a few rants and demeaning, Christians and fools and all that sort of thing. Um, and of course, I'm projecting. I'm projecting what's going on within me, and so I, deeply over this past whole year, went into the whole Christianity thing, deeply seeking because I had these spiritual experiences which I found absolutely unfathomable, and so I delved very, very deeply into it. But then. Um, I've come no closer. I really haven't come any closer. In actual fact, I've gone further away from finding any peace with that because I just find it so annoying. The contradiction and the duplicity and the paradoxical nature of biblical scripture and religion in general. And so I've come back to myself, what makes me feel comfortable. And what makes me feel comfortable is knowing that I am a shard of God consciousness, cosmic God consciousness, and I can speak with the cosmos, and we can create our own reality via our own genius of our thoughts, blessed by the cosmos, and we can introduce things into our lives through the law of attraction and synchronicity, and just willing it to happen, just thinking about shit, and so your phone's yeah. You still there, Ziggy?
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to put my phone on. Keep talking right now. I'm gonna hang it up. I'm not gonna hang you up.
Yeah.
You can. I'm still online, so
Yeah.
just give
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
1 second.
Okay.
I'm gonna put do not disturb.
Right.
All right, you go ahead, man. Sorry to cut
Yeah.
that off.
So then, I was on Kratom for 9 months, and I came off Kratom, and for about 2 weeks, I was kind of like out of sorts, and for about for the first 5 days, I had some sort of little anxiety. When your body's used to taking something and it wants it, but now that's gone. But I'm super alert, super conscious, and I'm like, wow, I've got 18 hours of daylight to do stuff in. And like I was just saying to you before we recorded, I only need like 4, 5 maximum hours of sleep a night in
Uh-huh.
the summertime, get a little bit more in the wintertime. Um, and so it's kind of like, well, what am I going to do with my life? Because I can't, in good conscience, keep walking around this tiny little village for the next 15 years of reasonable health, And so
Right.
I'm at a bit of a crossroads as to what I'm going to be doing. But of course, if it entails going out into the big world, oh my God, I just shudder at the thought of that because, in my life, I've done an enormous amount of traveling and mingling and all that sort of stuff. Now I just can't bear the thought of getting on a plane and doing all that trains, planes, and automobiles thing. I'm so used just to, meditating under a tree or in a graveyard and just having the peace and tranquility. And even just to get on a bus and to go into the local town, which I did do once during the winter time because it was absolutely pissing it down. Otherwise, I would have cycled, a 14-mile round trip. But I can't bear it. And so I don't know, what's happening. But you say, something similar is happening to yourself. You see, when we've got a lot of energy and we have active minds, well, there's only so much meditating and reading you can do in a day. You've got to get out there and do it, haven't you?
Yeah. Um, I agree. I mean, like what I was telling you before is like I just lay there. Like, and this happened for the past 2 weeks because normally I sleep very well, and I actually meditate myself to sleep. So
Hmm.
normally, like I'll meditate for 30 minutes, very aware. It is revitalizing, but it also calms me down in a way where it kind of clears my mind. So I'm not going to bed with so much stuff on my mind. Not that that really ever is too much of a factor, but when I lay there, I noticed that in the middle of the night, I'm kind of just laying there. I'm like finding myself not sleeping, but my eyes are closed and I'm just there, kind of like doing nothing, you know? And I don't know, I think that meditating is equivalent. Let's say if you get like an hour of meditation, it's equivalent to getting like 5 hours of sleep for some reason, because I feel like I don't need to sleep as much when I meditate. It's
Yeah.
like a weird phenomenon, in my opinion. Even the whole concept of time is all distorted. So let's say, for example, I'll be meditating for 30 minutes, but it felt like I was out for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's just like that's why I feel like it's like the whole time of sleeping and distortion of like what you're. It's like imbalance, but you're actually getting more rest than you need to if you're actually coming outside of space and time, and that's what I feel like is happening when you actually meditating consciously. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like maybe sometimes I don't feel like I need as much sleep as I do if I just it's like I'm going to sleep rather than just falling asleep.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
What you mean? You're forcing yourself to sleep rather than your body naturally wanting to do it.
Not forcing it. When I say going to sleep, it means I'm putting my body to sleep, but I'm still aware, rather than falling asleep where I'm just going into sleep unconsciously. So
Right.
you know how you just said you're meditating for an hour. Do you fall asleep, or are you aware during that hour of like meditation where you're in between realms, where you're still aware of what's going on? So you're aware of, like, let's say, the patterns going on in the visuals. You're aware of what the body's going through. There's been moments where I've gone through so aware that I managed to come out of body. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
I come out of it, but I'm still aware. You know.
What happens when I do this lying down meditation with the headphones on
Mhm.
and I've got 432 hertz on? It's kind of like space, dreamy angels singing music,
Mhm.
and it's just drifting. And within 30 seconds of putting the headset on, my mind is gone straight down into the theta, and
Mhm.
I've gone into a different state of consciousness. And what happens is the music then becomes a part of me and I drift into the music, and it's very, very angelic and very enchanting. And my consciousness is expanded into the music. It's not like the music is coming in my ears, it's gone into my head, or my spirit has gone into the music. And that's where I'm floating around. And then I start to come back from that and gain my compass mentis, egoic consciousness, and that is still there. It's still calling me back, but the body is satiated and it's revitalized, and it's had enough. Because generally, my body requires 50 minutes or an hour, that sort of time, and then it's ready to go again. It comes back from that and it's ready to go again. And then I get up and it's like, wow, it's awesome. But when I used to meditate for 5 hours a day, when I used to go to sleep, I very often would be like what you were speaking about. I'm still lying there. Then I would gain my consciousness, and my mind would feel so pure and so expansive. I was in the most beautiful of meditation, and I wasn't asleep. You know, it's kind of like the meditative state is more satiating than sleep, because you don't have the dreams going on, which I suppose uses energy and keeps the body alert and the brain alert to some degree. But when you are in a full blown deep meditation, then it's so satiating and blissful. And so very often I've had that, and you know, it really is incredible. And it's kind of like, wow.
Are you listening to binaural beats? Are they binaural beats that you're listening
No, I
to?
don't listen to those. Never got on with them.
So here's the thing with binaural beats. It kind of like I get to the point where, you know, like you have two sounds, but your brain kind of makes that third sound. So like one sound goes in one ear, one sound. That's why they call it binaural. So you're listening to it. You go through that nice state that you're talking about. But what I notice about the binaural beats, and I stayed aware during this process, is that the binaural beats, I'm no longer hearing those. I'm actually hearing the third sound that my mind is making, and it no longer even sounds pretty. It kind of sounds weird. It's like I'm just hearing sounds. It's like da, 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 da. And it's like I'm hearing that rather than the pretty binaural beats that I'm hearing. And I noticed that when I'm in that state, it's not a bad experience or a good experience. It's just I'm noticing what's happening in that moment. But that's where I'm telling you I lost the perception of time. And you know, like you know how here your body is connected to this realm as far as time goes. Your heart's connected to this realm. So that's why I say, like, when you're out of time, that's when your heart stops. But this is why I say, like, if I'm in that meditative state and I'm feeling like I went through 4 hours, but it was only 30 minutes, I felt like my body went through what I actually felt was rest time rather than just the 30 minutes that actually passed by. That's why I feel like sometimes that recharge is a lot quicker. It's like a supercharge instead of just a recharge that your body goes through, that the human body needs 7 hours of sleep or something. Yeah. Like I was able to accomplish that in less time. And that's my anecdotal claim, you know, because I noticed just how I feel. Like I told you, I've been meditating at a certain point, but then I feel like I'm not sleeping at night. But then that nighttime, when you're not sleeping, I feel like, you know how they call it the witching hour? There's where people started doing certain rituals. They started using that energy toward like productive things that they could channel. And that's also very interesting because I noticed that I was doing that beforehand. I'm not doing that now, and I should be doing that now, but I was doing it at one point, and I remember I was gaining certain things out of that. I was getting something out of that.
Yeah.
You know? Have you ever tried that out? Like even like people saying like 3 o'clock, the witching hour. Have you seen any differences between the times or that you do rituals or meditate at nighttime versus like a daytime session that you would do?
No, I've never actually got out of bed. You know, if I woke up at that time to meditate, to see what the difference is. So maybe that's something I will try. And the next time I wake up, because very often I just boom, I'm awake like this at, let's say, 2 or 3 o'clock, and I always get up, you know, about every hour to urinate. You
said you get up every hour to urinate?
About that, yeah. And then I count
every hour.
Yeah, every hour and a half maximum.
When you're sleeping.
When I'm sleeping, yeah, because I'm always eating and drinking right up until I go to bed, and I will drink this, you know, at midnight.
What is that?
This is just a lemon
water.
Yeah. So I'll drink.
I like lemon water.
Soup or, you know, coffee, decaf and whatever, all of that. And I always have. I'm a late eater. I will always eat before I go to bed, and I'll go to bed on a full stomach. So therefore, then, you know, my digestive system is full of foods that the water's being extracted from. So yeah, I mean. You know, I try to communicate with my viewers, you know, to extract information out of them, and little by little, more and more people are coming forward, and it's really.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Hold up. So, what are you trying to extract from your viewers?
Background, mostly, and state of consciousness. I want to know who I'm speaking to.
What have you gathered from the recent people that you've spoken to? As far as their consciousness?
Mm,
And what have you gathered from mine? I mean, we've had many, many chats, but I'm only asking this just to see where the psyche goes as far as like, what you're gaining out of the person you're talking to. But what do you get? What do you, like you said, you're trying to see where their state of consciousness is.
yeah.
I want to know what that means. Like what state of consciousness from the recent viewers and mine did you get out of those conversations?
Well, with minds like ours, we're very compos mentis. We're very rational. We're very stable. But there's many of my viewers are unstable. They suffer in many myriad of ways, and
The people you've spoken to online, right?
Not
You're talking about, or just the viewers you're watching from?
I used to do a lot of therapy. You may remember in the early days, I
Yeah.
used to have a lot of people coming to me to do therapy. So I know that those people are still on the channel. And I know from comments, because I'm very astute at reading between the lines, what somebody's doing, projecting their disposition and illness, because if I say something, and of course in my videos, what I'm always saying to them, and I always have to bring a video in from time to time, and I put one up today explaining why I do this jousting, and I demean certain sectors of society, and I have a go at them, because it's very important for people to be shocked into some sort of realization of what they are, and the way in which this is done.
Why do you make that a mission, though? Why do you make that a mission?
Because my mission is to educate people and wake them up.
But for what? What are you getting out of that?
I'm not getting anything out of it. It's my duty for the blessings that I've had. Is something I'm driven to do by the cosmos. And it may sound very, woo-woo to some people, but I have led a very, very blessed life, and I'm still leading a very blessed life now. And I've been guided into a certain arena with certain abilities, and I'm compelled to speak to the world. And so I've been doing this constantly for the past 14 years. And I've realized that this is my job, because there's so many.
What do you get out of it, though? I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to ask you. Because if you say a job, like when you do a job, you're trying to get something out of a job.
Yeah, but I just told you.
Like if I go to a job, I'm getting paid per hour.
I told you what I get out of it.
What do you get out of it?
I'm blessed by the cosmos.
No, but you're blessed by the cosmos to be able to do that job. But what are you getting out of the job? Like if I'm blessed to be a carpenter, I can build houses, but I'm getting paid. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like, what are you getting out of the job you're doing?
I live a blessed life. Holistically, 100%. The facets of all my life are blessed. And I can only conclude that it is because of what I am doing that I get that afforded to me, and it's an intuitive knowledge that I know what I have to do. And it isn't difficult for me to do it because I'm mostly channeling all the time anyway. I never know what I'm going to speak about. Every time I go to the gym, I put the camera in my pocket because I know that there's going to be something to be said. And very often I'll just put the camera on the selfie stick and I'll just go, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but it's going to be something. I press the button and then I'm into it, and then I'm talking for the next half an hour.
But what is the mission? What is the mission's goal for that? What is the mission's goal? Like, you do that, but there's a purpose to it. What's the purpose?
Well, I mean, I'm
like, look, like I don't want to look. This is why I'm asking this, because you just said you're blessed, and I believe you. I believe everything you're saying. If I'm blessed with a gifted knowledge of being able to tell the people's future, then I'm going to do it but of course I get monetary gain out of it. Is my purpose to make money out of it, or is my purpose to tell somebody something I don't know but not get paid for it? Like, I'm just trying to figure out what is the purpose of why you do, just to pick up the selfie stick and not know what you're talking about. You're just going to do it, but there's got to be a purpose to it in this human realm. I know that we're beyond space and time, but in this human realm, what is your purpose? What is the goal of this mission?
I don't have a personal egoic purpose. I am just being in my life. I'm absolutely emancipated from all the chattels and trappings of the everyday world, and I don't have to worry about money at all, ever. And so I haven't had to do that for the past 14 years, and I won't have to do it.
I like that. That's a big one. That's beautiful. I'm glad you say that. Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very good. You see, there's the reason why I resonate with what you're saying, right? Because when it comes to the money part, when you don't have money as an issue, then that's why I asked you, what's the purpose? What's the ulterior? A lot of people do things for money, right? So look, you know what I'm drinking here? I'm drinking red wine. And it's like 11:30 in the morning here. But you know why I'm drinking red wine? Because I literally sold both of these properties out of, I sold these properties, and I'm living in my house that I fully paid for. But me and my girl were celebrating this morning, right? Wow. And I don't have money issues, man. But there you go, right? So now I'm not gonna be here. I gotta move this whole garden over there. But anyway, it's not about me right now, at least. But what is the purpose, right? That's why I asked you, what is the purpose of doing it? I know that, but you're doing a human act. That's what I'm saying. You're doing a human act in a spiritual way, which I can combine spirituality. That's why I said you can combine the physical and metaphysical together. There's a lot of science behind that. I've made many videos on that. But what is your purpose behind picking up a camera and speaking through that camera?
I don't have a purpose. Because I never know what I'm going to speak about, and I never know what sort of energy I'm going to deploy. And I was speaking about one of the energies that manifests through me, and I've got a name for him. He's called Supercilious. He's haughty, condescending, demeaning.
Did you say Super Ziggius?
Supercilious.
Oh, I thought you said Ziggius. I'm like, man, can you name them after me, bro?
Yeah, supercilious just means haughty and condescending, and this character is very haughty and condescending, but there is a benevolence behind. There isn't any ill feeling. There isn't any venom or anything punitive, and lots of people they mischaracterize what I am and what I'm doing because they don't grasp the magnitude of the picture. So therefore I have to make videos to explain this. But I have spirits working through me, and I'm making quite a lot of videos about the spirits that work through us, and who they are, and how they operate, and how we can manage them, and how they serve us. And so this Supercilious, he has a different way of speaking to the viewer, and it's to shake them up and affect them emotionally. Or at least this character, he is here for anybody who would be susceptible to being emotionally triggered. And the emotional triggers are very, very awakening points for the individuals who are triggered to look at why they're triggered. Because unless we have these things pointed out to us, then we will dismiss them. We'll be ignorant to them. We'll pay them no mind. We all these things go on within people, but they don't know why these things are. And people don't know why. That if you have a conversation with them and then you say something to them and they all get like this, they don't know why they're doing that. You see, but my videos are about educating them into the psychology of why they're doing that, so they can look at themselves, they can recognize themselves, and then they can eventually have peace with themselves because they won't be triggered. And so now, after all these years, I've got many viewers who have been with me a long time and said that in the beginning I fucked with them big time. But now it all washes over them because they know exactly what I'm doing, and they've got to resolve on most of their little demons, you know. And so this is how spirit works through me, and even I have had to get my head around why this is going on. I've had to look at my psychology, but I realise that it's over and above my psychology. It's spiritual attachments, or it's spiritual forces which are working through. Now, just to get this in perspective, so people don't think that, you know, it's anything just crazy. We all have spirits working through us, and whenever you look at somebody when they're on stage and they're performing this absolutely fantastic, you know, concert, and whatever they're doing, they could be a circus act, or, you know, that they could be an orator. Whatever they're doing, there seems to be something vastly over and above the common all-garden human being. There's something mesmerizing. There's something charismatic. There's something which it has got animal magnetism. There's something that holds people transfixed, and the jaw drops, and they just stare because they're mesmerized. That's spirit. That isn't the regular human being.
Can you tell me what the soul is?
The soul varies depending on who you speak to, whether you speak to a psychologist or whether you speak to a Christian.
Aaron Berry. What is the soul to Aaron Berry?
The soul to me, it's the operating system, and I speak about this in the book, and I speak what the soul is, what the spirit is, what the ego is, what the self is, and the soul in the Bible is depicted as the living life force within the body. It isn't the spirit, it's the living life force which animates the body. The spirit is completely separate. The spirit is sharing the journey, but it's having no part in it other than maybe downloading some information to the soul. The soul acts upon the information and acts upon the guidance of spirit. And in modern day terms, we call that the ego. Freud coined that the ego. And so nobody...
Why the ego? Why did Freud coined the ego?
Well, because the ego means the it. The ego split into three. You've got the id, which means the it, then you've got the ego, and then you've got the superego. And so those three agencies make up the human brain and consciousness combined. And so you've got the id, which is the animal instincts, which just want to feed and fuck. Then you've got the super consciousness, which is the conscience. And then in between, you've got the administrator, you've got the judge and jury, you've got the person that has got to they have to provide for the id, because the body needs feeding, it needs its sexual release, and it needs to fight in some sort of shape or form. These days we'll fight verbally, or we'll do many different sports or something, but there's that the egoic animalistic facet of the mind, and then the ego is the bit in between which negotiates between the two, because we can't live in the conscience feeling guilty about our lives all the time.
Do you believe there's, if you look at these people online, they're saying like there's soulless ones, there's soulless people. Do you believe that there's people who have no soul?
I believe there's people that have no spirit.
Spirit, but no soul, or no spirit?
Yeah, no spirit. The spirit is God consciousness. The soul is the operating system for the human being, and the soul isn't.
So that's what I'm saying. If the soul is the operating system, and they have no spirit, then how could they have a soul if there's an operating system still?
Well, you don't need the spirit to have an operating system.
So, do you consider a hierarchy between the spirit and the soul?
Yes, the spirit is higher.
What? The spirit is higher than the soul?
The spirit is ultimate.
I can't agree with that. So I'm gonna tell you why. Because even like when you said that there's somebody who can perform a concert on stage and whatnot, they still need soul. So you can see, for example, you got like I've seen this online countless times, but I don't think they know what the hell they're talking about. Like you see how black people, they start to talk about white people have no soul. This is why they can't dance. This is why they can't like, you know, do rap music like black people could and whatnot. The soul is basically it's the operating system. I agree with that. And if it is the operating system, it's basically like your individuality, which needs a lot of confidence and needs a lot of self, uh, faith in oneself. But that's your individuality. The spirit is basically, I would look at that as like what we're looking at outside of you. So you basically get into this, like you can do it one or two ways. You can get into the spirit of yourself, of what you're projecting, or you can get into the spirit of the false lights outside of you. For example, what we're projecting as our reality is a mirror of what's inside of us. You've said this many times in your videos. So what the normal organic systems of like the seasons would be, like summer, spring, winter, and fall, these are things that the body naturally gets into, or our individuality, because these are organic. But then the man-made ones would be like, Christmas, Easter, Halloween. You get what I'm saying, right? So people tell you, get into the spirit of Christmas. Why do they say that? They want you to get into the spirit of something external to you. Same thing with Christianity. You spoke about Christianity and how that's inverted. If we're doing religion invertedly and we're going into Christ outside of ourselves, that's us following a spirit outside of ourselves. That's why I feel like you need soul in order for you to be able to experience spirit. Spirit is channeled through you because you have the operating system of the soul. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like that it's not about a hierarchy, but it's like they both need each other. This is why I feel like the illusion of like people saying like, man over woman, or let's say positive over negative. It's like you need that chemistry either way. So the chemistry here, as far as how I see everything as black and white, electromagnetism or whatever, maybe because you just spoke about the law of attraction, I would look at that as like spirit and soul is still something that needs to coincide with each other. Even though you don't realize the person has a soul, everything that's living has to have a soul. You have to have an individuality. Yet in the paradox, you're manifesting everything outside of you from the individual standpoint. It's still an illusion.
Let me
go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me put it another way then. So I don't dispute that everybody has to have a soul, because the soul is the operating system. The soul is the thing that makes us feel love and hate and fear and freedom and joy and all these things. That's the soul. But not everybody, in my estimation, has spirit. Spirit is a very, very difficult thing to speak about, to discern for people. But if you watch a couple of fighters and you see that they are very, very professional, very good fighters, and then when you see one fighter that's starting to beat the other one up, and he's pummeling him and pummeling him and pummeling him, but that guy, just even if he goes down, he's getting back up, he's getting back up, he's getting back up, and people go, fuck, that guy's got spirit. They don't say that guy's got soul. They say that guy has got spirit. He's got
Right, but listen, but even in the face-off, you could break somebody's spirit just because that's a spiritual face-off they're doing, right? So you're channeling an energy, right? So let's say if I got the eye of the tiger, you got that hungry lion in you, right? That's the animalistic nature, but that soul is needed to be able to channel that spirit. And if you break somebody's spirit, then you're easily able to break them. As you just said, the soul's the ego, like their individuality would be what gets broken down afterwards. But it's first starting from a spiritual face-off. So you break that person's spirit, you break that person's physical afterwards. You get what I'm saying? You're easily able to take them over in a fight. So that's why I say, like, when you're facing somebody, you're facing that person's channeling a certain energy. That energy is that spirit that I'm talking about. You're talking to me right now. You're channeling energy. I'm channeling energy back at you. We're basically intermingling here. It's like a sexual chemistry to some extent. But either way you put it, when it's in the because there's a couple ways to do it. It could be harmonious, or it could be in the interest of sport, good sportsmanship. Life, you're facing life the same way. You're facing life where you're facing obstacles. You're facing stuff that's like in good chemistry with you. But at the end of the day, you're interacting with chemistry, which is spirits. But you're using it as a container of the soul. The soul is housing the emotions. So you, as the conscious observer, have to know whether the emotions take over you or not. These spirits basically are still you, but they're all intermingling with each other as one. It's like a chemistry happening. I understand the whole fighting thing that you're talking about when you break somebody's spirit and whatnot. The person, if he keeps getting up, you notice how they say, "Oh, that person's got heart. That person's got heart." I mean, what is the heart? You know, the heart is basically you're projecting your reality from that. But that channel is basically coming from soul. You know, that's your soul. You're breaking the person down, but that spirit is channeled through you. If you broke this, you could break the spirit before you get into the fight. You don't think so?
Yeah.
When you're doing the face-off, you don't think the person could start having doubt only because they felt that other person's energy, that other person's energy or spirit, or the energy that they protruded out of them, even though they were smaller, it was so big that the person started to have second doubts? You don't think that could happen in the face-off first?
I doubt the concept of breaking spirit. I don't think spirit can be broken. If you have spirit, then you have spirit. If you don't have spirit, you don't have spirit. I don't believe that, for instance, I know that I have spirit. And if I go into a fight, I could be beaten by many men. And I could be, broken, exhausted, and in pain and not able to continue. But that wouldn't say that my spirit is broken. My spirit did absolutely everything that it could with the body, which was able. It was the body that was broken. The body.
Well, the body was broken due to lack of skill against the other person.
Lack of skill.
Let me make it easier.
Lack of strength.
Maybe the other person was just physically stronger, right? But you can have a stronger spirit. But here's the thing, though. Let me make it easier for you. Suppose that you have an idea of yourself and you are a vegan. You're telling me that you didn't channel a spirit of veganism through you when you're having a debate with me if I'm a carnivore?
No, I'm not telling you that.
Okay, so suppose that if I'm debating you and you're a vegan, there's no spirit of veganism that you're getting into. Suppose that you're debating with me about Christmas, or people say get into the spirit of Christmas or get into the spirit of Christianity. There's people who say I'm an atheist or agnostic, and then you're debating a Christian. You're telling me that there's no spirit of Christianity getting channeled through that person to debate, or even flat earth rounders. But check this out. It's an idea. It's a human-made concept. But either way you put it, if I debate you and I destroy your idea that makes you a vegan, I didn't break your spirit down, and your soul is going to feel it afterwards, because the soul is the vibrations, the emotions, the water. It's the living waters which houses emotion. That's why the Dr. Emoto experiment would tell the scientist Dr. Emoto, whatever his name was. We talked about the rice experiment. We talk about how water houses memory, how based on energy projection, you can basically change the geometric structure of what makes water or what makes rice or what makes, because it's the container that's holding the emotions. So the soul is going to experience the emotions of the defeat that I gave that spirit of veganism that you decided to channel at me and I destroyed with my concept of carnivorism. It's just an example because I'm not a carnivore either. But you're telling me that that's not how it works when it comes down to breaking down spirits? Or if you have a better way of explaining it?
No, and I don't know why you're assuming that I was telling you that, because I started off a conversation saying that some of us have many spirits, and we have many spirits and we deploy them for very varied things. Like we can have a sportsman's spirit, a very competitive, healthy spirit. And, if you want to speak about breaking the spirit look, spirits can come and go. Right. So let us agree on one thing. Spirits come and go. And I've known in my life that spirits have entered and they've left. They stay whenever there is energy for them to feed on. For instance, when I was out as a younger person in the nightclubs doing cocaine and womanizing and all that sort of stuff, I had spirits within me which were enjoying that life. They were living vicariously through me whilst I was doing that. Since I've stopped doing that, those spirits have left, and now there isn't a spirit that wants to do cocaine, that wants to womanize and all these sorts of things.
So now, so since we're talking about logic and we're in language, of course, I mean, the spirit basically is metaphysical. Am I right or wrong?
Metaphysical, yeah.
So so you cannot physically break spirit. but you can starve spirit, or you can not give spirit what it was designed for it to accomplish, right? So it would come and go. So I would say the breaking part, let's say, just to be clear, would be the going part, right? So you broke that spirit, meaning like you took that spirit, came out of that person, so that person no longer had that eye of the tiger when they were broken down physically in the ring or the octagon. Do you see what I'm saying now?
Let's have a look at this. If you've got a boxer and he's been boxing all of his life, and then he retires, and then he takes up poetry and painting, well, he's going to have a spirit of poetry and painting enter into his being, and the fighter.
Okay, so how does that spirit gain the ability to express itself through you, though?
How do they?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't speak about the extent of how the metaphysical works. All I can say is from my experience that I know when spirits are entering and leaving me. And
right, but how do they have the ability to? So you said you have bad and good spirits. How do those spirits have the ability to express themselves through Aaron Berry?
How do they?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sure whether anyone could really.
I could answer that for you. That's because you're giving life to that spirit through the soul of what Aaron Berry is. That's what I'm saying. So the spirits come and go, but that's what I say. Life, you're experiencing life right now. You decide whether you want to give life to a negative spirit or a positive spirit, right? So now, for example, we're all experiencing experiences here, and I liked how you even started this video.
We don't always decide, because if we're not aware of what's going on, negative spirits.
Oh yeah, unawareness, of course, negative spirits can inhabit somebody who's not aware.
Yeah,
but that's basically not. That's why I talk about masculine and feminine energy, because when you have your masculinity intact, you're able to know what comes in and out, and what you're expressing, and what you decide to give life to. You get what I'm saying? So if you decide that you're feeling a certain way, you're feeling negative, and you say, well, Leah, I'm going to let this spirit express itself negatively on this video, then you're basically giving in to whatever that negative spirit wants to do at that moment in time. And then that's why I asked you, is there a purpose to that negative spirit being able to express itself in that moment in time in a negative way?
Okay, let me answer that then. Let me see if I can
unpack that.
Express what I'm speaking about. So when I made this video, and I'm speaking about supercilious, and I explain it in this video that I put up today, I'm saying, look, I allow supercilious to reside within me. He's been within me a long time, and he serves me. He serves me in many ways, and we have an agreement whereby he doesn't get too carried away, and I won't have a problem with him, and I won't deny him and expel him and all this sort of thing. And so he will want to express something in a more animated sort of way, and it's kind of like, tell them that they're fucking idiots, and tell them that, you know, they're weak, and you know, they need to do more to because at the end of the day, the supercilious, the good intentions is the good intention behind it, but it's provocative. And it's like, you see that Ziggy guy, tell him to get to the gym more because his arms are looking a bit small these days, and you know, telling me he might want to get out running because he's got a little bit of, you know, chubby on his stomach or this sort of thing. And so that's what supercilious does.
But what's the purpose of that?
What's the purpose of that? Well, I mean, what would be the purpose of that if you was in receipt of that?
Well, if I have a weak mind, I can believe you, and then I can have a low self-esteem about myself. Or if I have a strong mind, I cannot believe you and can continue about my day. But the majority of the people that are watching YouTube, they're there. I'm going to finish this one little part. The majority of the people that watch YouTube is because they're searching for something. I noticed this. They're following something that they're trying to find, that they can find within themselves, that they're trying to find through others. Exactly. So when somebody speaks in a certain way that's compelling, or let's say edgy, then people tend to gravitate toward that. Only because they have this cult-like mentality that they want to fucking follow somebody. And this is what I get. This is what kind of gets me about the fucking humans. And the reasons I'm even making certain videos is because I'm trying to like if they're in my group, I feel like if they have the ability to get polluted, I'm gonna do something about it because I also have a spirit within me that has a purpose, and there's a specific purpose. That's the thing. See,
Don't
this is
let
the
this
thing.
go
This is
on,
why I
Ziggy.
asked you.
Don't let this go on so long, so I lose the point because
Yeah. I'll let you go on, and then I'll tag along. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go
the
ahead.
point is, you see, you say, why do you do that? And what's the benefit? Well, the benefit is that you skirted around it or you touched upon it. And you said, if people are weak, then they will follow you. And if they're strong, they won't. Well, there's one that you missed. There's one that you missed, which is the one which Supercilious is aiming for. And that's the one in between, which has sensibility, but it just needs reminding. And when I say these things like, you chubby guys out there, or you guys that don't ever read a book, what the fuck is wrong with you? Then people who...
Before you go on, let me just ask this one question, just answer this one question, and then continue on with that same train of thought. Do you have love for humanity, or you do not have any kind of love for humanity?
I'm very paradoxical. Let me explain. I'll explain that after, Ziggy, because that's a very...
Yeah, continue on. Go ahead.
It's a very good question. But when Supercilious is pointing out people's failings, it's doing them because I want people, my spirit wants people to be like me. My spirit wants people to be healthy, because when you're healthy, you open up the portal to God. And so there's a whole lot more to what I'm saying that meets the eye. And so with people I can touch, when I'm prompting people that they're chubby, they should read more, they're ignorant, this, that, and the other, then they're going to be going, yeah, they already know it, Ziggy. They already know it. But like you say, lots of people need the prompt. Lots of people need a guru. Lots of people need to follow somebody. Lots of people need to be encouraged. Lots of people just need someone to point it out to them, and then they'll be on their way. That's the point behind it.
But what if the message was inverted and just giving the message of the benefits behind going to the gym and what the benefits of, I mean, I'm going to use your train of logic, but like the benefits of having bigger arms or the benefits of living healthy. Instead of that message being like that, rather than pointing it out to that individual who's weak-minded, who may have a self-esteem issue, why would the message not be different? Why would Mr. Sidious, what did you say his name was?
Supercilious.
I don't want to insult him. Supercilious. Because I got my name Supercilious. See, I don't want to insult him, so I want to make sure he's happy with me because I got Super Ziggious, and I want to make sure we stay on point. But, you know, Supercilious wants to direct a message, but what's the purpose? And you said that there's no purpose. See, this is the thing, though. I always say this, that everything I do has a purpose. There has to be a purpose.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I didn't say there's no purpose. When did I say there's no purpose?
You said there was no purpose.
I said there's no purpose.
You rewind the video. You said there's no purpose behind why you do this.
No, there is a purpose.
What's the purpose? That's what I asked you in the beginning of the video. What's the purpose?
Well, I've already said what the purpose was. I mean, we'll have to rewind the video, but I said...
Well, no. But okay, no, I'm going to let you talk. Hold on. But you said, okay, so you said what the purpose was. You said was the purpose, but then I said, what if you changed the message around and said the benefits of what you're doing rather than pointing it out? Is that what you're saying? Okay,
here is the reason why. Because I'm a very individuated and different sort of soul and spirit. There's lots of different spirits in here, and we do things differently. You can go on thousands of videos where you've got Mr. Motivator telling you how to get your abs and telling you how to pump up your muscles, and they'll show you how to do it.
Very glad you brought that up.
Yes,
yep,
this thing doesn't do that. This thing comes in the back door, Ziggy. It comes in a way which is completely unprotected and unexpected, and it has much more power and lasting ability. You see, if somebody watches a motivational video about the fucking dumbbells and they buy some dumbbells, bomb, within a few days they're bored of that and they've forgotten. The energy is no longer there. But if you touch someone deep in their conscience, in their super ego, that's going to keep telling them every single day. All I need to do is plant the seed. This is a much cleverer way of doing it, Ziggy. I plant the seed in their subconscious, in their superconscious, in their conscience, you see, and that conscience drip feeds them every fucking day. And all they need to do then is think about the awakened brave. Oh, then they'll remember that because that hurt them. It hurt them. It touched them in an emotional way. And it wasn't vindictive. It wasn't punitive. It was just a wake-up call. Hey, wake the fuck up.
Now, keep in mind, I'm not polarizing toward there's a right and wrong way of doing things. Because, you see, in order for us to have a conversation, they have to appear that way, right? So now here's the thing, though. Suppose it a vegan, because you're not vegan. I know you eat meat. I eat meat and whatnot. But they'll give you, like, a whole gospel behind, why eating meat is bad and how you're contributing to it, right? Yeah. But you're saying, well, I'm not killing the animal. I'm just buying you're not living it in a religious type of way. So I get where you're coming from. That's actually cool that you pointed that out as far as motivation and whatnot. And, motivation to me is fucking, those people are more toxic than anything else, because at the end of the day, you can give them all that motivation and, they're going to give you the energy of the attention only because they're motivated, but then they come out and they have no discipline.
Yeah.
So the discipline's going to come down to sometimes being pointed out those triggers.
As long as they are watching it. And then they'll go away. Right. Maybe it'll last a day or two, but then it's fucking gone. All this Tony Robbins stuff is bullshit. It's complete fucking bullshit. I can
100% agree. 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
100% agree.
Can you see the logic behind what we do? And I speak about we as a group of entities. You see, lots of people they don't grasp what I'm doing because their ego is affected. But that's what supercilious wants to do. It wants to affect their ego. Now then, there are a certain sector which won't recover from their ego being affected. They will completely close down, and they won't want to hear anything else about it, and they will go. We want that to happen. We want the ones to go. We want the ones to leave Awaken Brave boot camp that ain't gonna fucking make the fucking course.
So let me ask you this: do you have love for humanity? Yes or no?
Okay, no, you can't say yes or no. Let me tell you how I work.
All right, go ahead.
I work like this. Here's the thing: when people ask Jordan Peterson, "Do you believe in God?" he says, well, it depends what you mean by God or believe, and he'll go into a whole right.
But these are debate tactics, because here's the thing, though. If you're going to ask somebody what God is, people are going to say, well, you can go into the realm of the metaphysical, what it means to a physical person, what it means. There's so many different ways. That's why semantics are important in a debate.
You can't just ask one question and say yes or no, because for a thinking person, for a philosopher, it doesn't work like that. And
all right, so before you get into that, I want to hold that thought, because I know you got a good memory. What is the definition of love, and what do you think I'm asking?
Well, in my book again, bad time you bought my book, by the way.
Yeah. I'm gonna. You know what it is? I haven't got a chance.
You ask, 80% of them will be answered when you read that book.
No. I mean, it's not that I don't know the answer. I want to know what. I'll get the book to get your psychology. I get it.
My answer is you asking me the answer. So obviously you don't know what I'm going to say at this moment in time.
Right.
Most of these things will be covered in the greatest of depth in the book. You asked me, do I love?
I promise I'll get the book. My man's word. I'll get the book.
Yeah.
I promise I'll get the book.
Well, by the way, the hardcover is $25, and the Kindle.
I'm gonna get the most expensive one. I'm gonna get the most expensive one,
because the paper. You got to have the fucking real thing. You got to have.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna get a few copies, okay, and I'll give them away.
You won't
in my channel.
You won't regret it. Because we love talking to each other, and so you'll get a greater understanding of where I'm coming from. Now, when Jordan Peterson says depends what you mean by God, and he'll go into all these metaphysics and everything. Well, what I'm going to say to you now is, and one of the things.
Wait. Before you answer me, I don't want to know. I want to know you. What is love to you? Forget Jordan P. I fucking can't stand that dude.
I'm going to tell you. But what he says, I act as if I do, right? And so what I do is, and I'm speaking about it in my recent videos, and I'm always giving people illustrations of what a jolly, nice chap, an amiable, kind, loving, open-hearted person. And if you ask anybody,
I can hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you. I'm just gonna get some more wine.
If you
Let's
ask
go ahead. Keep talking.
anybody, well, you couldn't, of course, around here, you know, what's your opinion of Aaron? They're all going to say you're very helpful, very kind, very amiable chap. And nobody's ever had a bad experience with me. And when I'm walking down the road like I was yesterday, and there was a middle-aged woman, she's cycling by in the opposite direction, and she drops her phone on the road, and then it goes under a car. So I goes over the road, and I gets down, and I gets the phone from under the car, and I gives it to her, and I just checked it. I said, I hope it's not broken. It was in a case, and she said, oh, thank you very much, and all this sort of thing. I do those sort of things all through every day. And so I look at myself and
I'm
I go,
listening.
well,
I'm listening to you.
yeah, everywhere I go, I have good encounters. And I say in this video, explaining why I deploy supercilious and why people shouldn't take that character too seriously as being a direct reflection of the core of my essence, because it isn't. It's just a tactic that I deploy. So whenever I'm engaging with individuals, I have the greatest of compassion. Cheers. You know, dare I say, love. And even with this little old lady, she's 88 years old, and I used to run over the road and buy fags and beer, milk and stuff, and she'd always used to be knocking on my door, and then she'd invite me for a cup of tea, and I'd go in, and she'd always give me birthday cake and this, that, and the other. And so one day she got took off in an ambulance, and I had tears in my eyes because I felt that I would never see her again. And so that's compassion, that's love. But there's a part of me that doesn't respond very well to the concept of love. And
Hold on. Pharaoh's over there. Go get Pharaoh. Give me the ice. Go get Pharaoh and bring him inside. Go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I couldn't really define what love is. And in my book, I have a whole chapter on trying to define love. It's a very, very slippy character, if you ask me. And then I speak about the love that I was shown by Jehovah compared to the love that I was shown by Jesus. Very, very different loves. There was different as chalk and cheese. There was
so you can't give me a concrete definition of love?
No.
In your own words?
No, you can't. Because look, can you tell me exactly how you love your cats, as opposed to how exactly you love your missus and exactly how you love your child? Can you tell me what the difference is?
Well, the love is basically I talked about this in my very last video. It's just basically an expression of what you consider, like when I look at the world outside of me, I notice that I'm looking at myself. There's like the self-reflection that I'm talking about is the glue that's holding everything together. Without that love, it falls apart. So the love is basically the time and attention that I can put into something, right? Or the acknowledgement that I can give to something, whether it triggers me or not, is still love because it's in my reality for that reason. So it's the glue that's holding things together. I wouldn't even consider it an emotion. It's considered a chemistry between the two polar opposites of what I'm talking about. You get what I'm saying? Right now, I mean, just the love of talking to you. I'm able to talk to you for hours. And even though we don't see eye to eye on certain things, we can still have a conversation. It's still coming out of love. So when you look at people, like I want to talk about, I haven't watched too many of the newest videos you put out, but I put the one that I watched recently in the forefront, which is the one you talk about euthanasia of the elderly. We talked about that briefly in our last video before it got cut out, but I want to actually get into that.
We'll do that.
No, but we will. But listen. So let me answer your question. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question real quick. I'm going to answer it right now. It's the glue that's holding the thing together, but it's attached to my heartstrings. That's why they say when people do this, it's heart is love. It's an attach. First of all, if you want to look at it from the egoic standpoint, is the attachment that you have to whatever matters to you in your life, right? And then overall love is the glue that holds everything together.
Okay, right. You just spoke about attachment. Now, what I'm going to say is, see if you'll agree with this. When you look at your
but it's still a detachment too.
Well, when you look at your cats, so there's a certain love, but you're not that attached to them. Because if they don't come back one day, you're going to go, oh, where's little Tony or little Tibby or whatever? Oh, I hope nothing horrible has happened to him. And then, the weeks go by and you forget all about him. If your missus leaves you, not the end of the world. There's plenty more fish in the sea, although it's the mother of your child. If your child should something happen, that will be the worst thing, because that's what you are the most attached to. That's what we are as human beings. We have heartstrings attached because it's an evolutionary thing. We can do without our wives and our partners, but the attachment of a child, something special happens, and it's an evolutionary bonding thing that we're going to die for that child. And so if you ask me what love is, I'm going to tell you that love isn't anything fucking fluffy, what we think it is. Love is what we fucking pay when that thing is taken away from us, the pain that we suffer when each individual thing is taken away from us. So you can't put fluffy shit against love, put pain against it. Count the measure of pain that you would receive if that thing went out of your life. So
why do you think the love variance between the cat and my girl or my son, why do you think that exists though?
Because
why do you think that is a thing?
Because it's a survival thing.
Uh-huh.
It's absolutely a survival thing. Look, Ziggy, the day you became a father, you fucking changed. And you knew it and you felt it in every cell in your body. You fucking changed. And all of a sudden, you're responsible. You're a parent. You're a protector. And, you're going to protect this fucking house. And you're going to put tools around the house just in case anything happens. Because now it's not just about you. It's about something vastly over and above you. And that's the thing that we project, and we throw all into one concept of love. And so love is indefinable. Love isn't anything what people think. They will deny that it's their attachment and it's the appeasement of their own insecurities and all these sort of things. You see, at the end of the day, the human being is a very, very selfish creature because it's all about genetics through millions of years for survival. Now, we will do everything in our power to protect ourselves, but when we've got that little one, which is also ourselves, it's an appendage of ourselves, but because we're stronger, we're more intelligent and all the rest of it, then we're going to do absolutely everything and more that we can do to protect that child. But you wouldn't go to these lengths to protect your mother or your brother or your sister. You'd be kind of like, well, they should be protecting themselves. They should have husbands. But
yeah. But you do. Tell me if you agree with me. But the selfishness comes in not from the life part, but more from the death part. So, for example, if my cat dies or my son dies, right? How long do you mourn for, and why does the attachment last longer towards your son over the cat or your wife? Why is that?
Because there are these metaphysical heartstrings attached, and they don't fade anything like as quickly when they are stronger. They're nothing like as strong with a cat or a dog, but you will pine forever with a child.
But either way you put it, even if you mourn for like let's say if you mourn for 3 days over your cat, but you mourn like a year over your son, it's still about you though. You see, the whole thing is that it's still, you talked about how your external world is an illusion, right? You can't help but to feel these emotions. But the whole thing is that either way you put it, it's still coming down to being all about you. That's why it's so selfish. So, for example, even if you mourn for a year over your son or 3 days over the cat, it's still all about you, because you're, instead of appreciating the moments that were there, and of course circumstances are very important. Like, let's say the circumstances where you suffered a long time, your child may have been sick, or they just died in a tragic accident where it just happened overnight. There's different levels of it, and you have to be compassionate about that over the animal creature, right? Overall, it still comes down to you once you mourn, because you want that person back. It's still all about you. So when you said it's a selfish creature, I agree with that. But the levels that I ask you, it has to do with the fact that you created your child directly, even though my animals, even you, I'm creating you right now, because everybody that I'm interacting with, whether I have positive or negative interactions with, I created those people in my reality. I designed even the relationships I'm going to have with those people. But a direct creation of myself would have been the child that I co-created with my wife, that I created to have that idea that we would call my son.
It's got a part of your spirit in that. And so
right.
that's the
Metaphysically,
connection.
there's something going on over what we can see in the physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the euthanasia thing. So do you want to broach that one?
Absolutely, because that video, not that it triggered me, but I'm like, there's a lot of contradictions, right? Now, I talk about, before we get into that, let me ask you this question. Do you feel like you as an individual here on this planet, should you do things with a purpose, or things that you do don't necessarily have to have a purpose? And the fact that you're thinking about it means that you probably haven't really pondered on that too much.
Well, no, it's because of the paradoxical nature of the cosmos. Because
I understand there's paradoxicals, but you're here as a man. My question is, should you do things with purpose, or do you think man should do things and doesn't necessarily have to have a purpose?
Well, I think we mostly should have a purpose and need a purpose, because the purpose is the very portal of the projection of our energy into our creation of something. Without purpose, we're not going to be creating.
So there's got to be a purpose. Exactly.
There's got to be a purpose.
That's very important. There's got to be a definiteness of purpose for a man to accomplish something. If not, he's just running chaotically. He really doesn't know what he wants.
There only has to be
and a man is supposed to know what he wants.
You only have to have a purpose or need a purpose if you are going to be creating. But if you are not going to be creating, like for instance,
aren't we creating all the time?
Well, look, I mean, for me, at my time of life now, moving in very, very small circles, invariably speaking to nobody, more than a few words each day, I don't need to have a purpose about going about my life. My body will just do what the body wants to do. It wants to do some exercise. It wants to go in the sun. Maybe it wants to play some music. So the body will be satiating itself. And so,
but that's you catering to the animal on things that are not going to hurt you or others. But like, suppose that the animal that you're mentioning wants to do things that are not benevolent for everybody else on the planet, you're going to just let it happen?
Well, no, but I'm not saying that. But just because I say that we don't need purpose, it doesn't.
Give me a second, Aaron. Yeah, just go to my girl. She'll give it.
Real quick.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm on a call, but yeah.
It make you feel good.
20,000. Yeah, that's pretty fucking great, man. It's always good to have money in the pocket, right? So I just make 20 grand on a sale right now on like the smaller place, but it's all good, bro.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'm celebrating, bro.
Yeah.
And we got 40,000 on the other one, so, and then we bought the home already. That's why I said I got a reason to celebrate today, bro. I'm happy. I'm good.
Yeah, and when you are working towards a purpose, you've got a collective purpose, you've got a reason because you've got a family and you're doing everything for that purpose, then that's a very nice objective, and that keeps you going, it keeps you vitalizing, it keeps you living, it keeps you enthusiastic. It stops you get anything like as disgruntled about the obstacles in the way, because your purpose is vastly more important. And so for lots of people, it's a beautiful thing. I don't have those purposes anymore, Ziggy. I don't have to get out of bed for anything on any given day, and so my life has changed, and so therefore I can look at things from a different perspective.
Well, let me ask you a question, Aaron. Do you have traumas that you acknowledge in your life that you may have gone through in your? Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. Do you think that certain YouTubers? I'm not talking about just like yourself. I'm not talking about you, but do you think that certain YouTubers go online and express their traumas, and then based on like the collective of people who have traumas, they listen to that and they're basically living that person's shadow aspect of themselves when they're watching that person's or consuming that person's video, no different than consuming a negative energy?
When you say they're consuming their shadow, what would are you absolutely clear on what you mean? Are you talking about the Jungian shadow? The shadow being all the things that we hide, that we don't like about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and you're putting it out on camera. There could be a constructive or a deconstructive way of relaying the message. And upon that, because the majority of people have traumas. That's why a lot of the messages that are portrayed online that are negative tend to get the most attention when you're edgy. You know what I'm saying? And then the ones that are self-empowering, they tend to not get the most views only because they hate God. You get what I'm saying? generating. They just like the degeneration part because that's the mode that they're in, unless they wake up and overcome humanity and be born again to the Father. Do you understand my question?
I'm pondering it. Ask me again. Ask me again more acutely.
Okay. I mean, it was a very clear question. I'm going to try to word it differently. But people usually project on camera. And then there's the majority of people that like that. They like that because that's the state of being that they're in. So it becomes attractive because it's negative. Negative energy is attractive. Brother, very nice meeting you, bro. Thank you so much. Good pleasure doing business with you too, all right?
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. And I'm going to go by there in the morning and I'll talk to you lady, and we said we'll do the title stuff after we meet the man.
Absolutely. Make sure you get the application in the office too, right?
Yeah, I'm going in the morning.
Appreciate you, brother.
Okay, so there are lots of people out there, and there's this Teal Swan. Do you know Teal Swan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
American chick, and she's
a very smart lady. She's a very smart lady, but there's a lot of holes in her game too. Listen, I find holes in a lot of people's games. I'm talking about even Sadhguru. You could talk about Teal Swan. You could talk about Infinite Waters. I feel like I find the holes in all those things. And as a disruptor, they're lucky I don't have a big platform, because if I did, they probably would be out of business. But that's not my job. Is not to kill people. You get what I'm saying? My job is to basically show the way, and that's it. Out of my own perspective, a way of seeing things. But go ahead. What were you going to say about Teal Swan?
Oh,
in case you're going to say something good about her.
She claims herself to be the victim, and then she thrives on that because she attracts victims. She attracts sympathy.
Cult-like mentality. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a, and then people go into like a cult and not knowing that they're going into a cult based on somebody's fucking projecting of themselves, and they think that's their savior.
But I think that happens across the board with everything, Ziggy. Because if people tune in to many other channels, if they tune into yours or they tune into mine, they're tuning into something that they have a reflection of themselves. It's something in us that they recognise in themselves, maybe unconsciously, but they most certainly recognise something. You see, most things are unconscious and subliminal, and so when I'm speaking about certain facets and how I see the world, people are feeling that deep down, like some sort of distant dream in their unconscious, and they don't know why they're attracted to my channel. Many people have told me that they don't know why they're attracted to my channel. They just like to listen to me speak, and albeit they don't understand a lot of it, there's something keeps them there. What keeps them there? It's the unconscious keeps them there, because the unconscious knows, listen to this guy because he will be telling you how to resolve your issues. It's spirit that's telling them to listen to this guy because this guy's going to be taking you a few steps higher where you want to be. And so everything that we're doing on this planet, the vast majority of it is all unconscious. And what we are doing as individuals, we are projecting onto the world everything that we've ever experienced and learned in some sort of shape or form. And so you have opinions about this and I'll have opinions about that. And it just so happens that your opinions fit with mine, and we're similar sort of rough, go-ready guys, and we like nature, and we're self-assertive, and we're not too stupid and all these sort of things. So we enjoy the mirror reflection. But it's not just like we're sycophantical. We're not just like narcissistic and want to stare at ourselves all the day. We learn from the varying facets because we are not each other, per se. So when you say, do you think that people are projecting their pain and things like that? Of course, I'm projecting my pain. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I speak about openly. I say, look, when I was 4 years old, my mother committed suicide. She left me, my elder brother, who was 6, I was 4.
I remember you were telling me that too.
Yeah, all those things, and I say, I have to tell you that I have a problem with that to this day. And but don't feel that you can just go, oh, Aaron's got a problem, because you have to. And your problems are going to be different. Everybody's got their problems. Now, if you had the perfect life,
but there's a lot of value in that, though. There's a lot of value in that.
There's a lot of value.
Absolutely.
But you see, I realize it. I've assimilated it. I've opened up my heart to it, and I say, well, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. In one respect, because it's made me the man I am. Because I'm very happy with being who I am. But it's not without its perils. Because what it's done, it's prevented people from being really able to love me. Because I've never received their love 100%. Because I've always known that there's going to come a day when that love is going to be taken away. And then I'm going to feel the pain again. But for people who have never had the pain, they're open. They think love is beautiful, and they're blind until they get their heart broken. And then they're going to think twice, 3 times, 4 times before they get into the next relationship. And every time this happens, then we become more and more retreated into our shells, don't we? But you see, I open all this stuff out, and people see how open I am, how vulnerable I am, and they can learn from that. And they appreciate that. There's no bullshit. There's no nonsense. And therefore, then, I know that everybody suffers. Everybody's got pain. And so by revealing my own, I ease theirs. Just a little bit, or help them to suffer a little bit less. But you see, I'm a complex creature, and I am the Libra. I'm the scale, and
but here's the thing that I have more of a problem with. Not a problem. I wouldn't even. I gotta try to find the right words with this language. Not a problem, but more or less like it's like a lot of the stuff you may say on camera may be contradictory to me. You know what I'm saying? Contrary to like the stuff that we've spoken about. And I know you talk about paradoxes and whatnot, but in my opinion, when you're aligned with God, you don't need to ever be contradictory. You're always, even though there's a paradox, you're going to have a direct message. You get what I'm saying? When you talked about the euthanasia of the elderly, which we can get into as soon as you're done with your part, that's the part I'm having a problem with, because I don't feel I think the contradictions come from negative, or it comes from the feminine energy. That's why I feel like it has to be a definiteness of purpose, but it also has to be a direct message that has a meaning where people can see both sides of chemistry, not a polarized idea that we could just euthanize people when they're at a certain age, because there's a lot of things to look at behind closed doors of what we can see here as the humans when it comes down to that topic. I think it's a very sensitive topic. That's like me telling you, hey, Aaron, you come on camera and you telling me you're depressed, and I just go tell you, well, then go kill yourself, right? Do you think it's more constructive for me to tell you, go kill yourself, or do you think it's more constructive for me to be a Christ-like figure, like we've spoken about, that we're all Christ and we're all God, where I can find the right words in chemistry to find the generating process to help you come out of that hell that you're experiencing?
Well, let me first of all address what you are assuming. You assuming that if someone is in line with God, then they have to be absolutely straight shooting and speak the truth.
Not the religious God. Let me get that clear, because we're not talking about the religious God, because people don't even know what the definition of that means.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
What I'm talking about, because Christ to me is a consciousness, no different than I could think like a rich person, or I could think like a poor person. There's still consciousness, no different than Christ consciousness. You agree, right, Aaron, that I can have an abundance consciousness or a poverty consciousness. Both people are going to make decisions and choices based on their consciousness, right or wrong.
Yeah.
So based on Christ consciousness, right, which is neutral, it's not bad or good. I'm also going to find a way where I'm going to find the light in all things rather than find the hell in those things that I'm experiencing in my life. Because I'm in Christ consciousness, I'm also seeing the mirrors of myself, that I have the potential to come out to be an old person at one point in time, where if I say I should euthanize all those people, what happens if I become to be the age of 85 and I start to fall apart, and then all of a sudden somebody wants to tell me that I should be euthanized, but I don't want to be in that state, but I pointed that finger when I was at my age of 44. You get what I'm trying to say? This is why I'm saying, like a child, for example, I made this in my very last video. I don't know if you watched it, but it's one of my best videos because I channeled God through that video. Right. But you have a child, he has the equivalence of intelligence of a pig, but he has the potential to be more. You get what I'm saying? Now the
Pigs are very
potential only
intelligent, by the way.
right. That's what I'm saying. They have the intelligence of a 6 or 7-year-old, but a child is not equal to that pig, even though they're equivalent in intelligence. They have the potential to be more. The human has the potential to be more, and especially when they're here at an older, riper age, they have that's why they call them wise old men. But they're stupid only because of the life they've been living and the food they've been consuming, the information or the indoctrinations they've been living. But it's up to us, the generation of information, to be able to work with those people and in kind. You know what the funny thing about those old people are? I've talked to a lot of old people, and even though we tend to be smarter because we're technologically smarter, even though they're indoctrinated in their old ways, they're telling you something that you may think is stupid, but if you're a smart Christ-like figure, you can see the intelligence and wisdom that's coming out of the stupid things they're telling you in that moment that they are speaking to you. They could be telling you about Christ. They could be telling you about their old habit, their old-fashioned way of working, their old-fashioned. Believe it or not, there's so much wisdom in that shit that they're saying that you be like, wow, I'm extracting something out of this person that they're not directly telling you, but they're telling you, and you can see between the lines of what they are telling you, because everything has evolved. And the further we evolve and we think we're evolving, we're actually de-evolving. Because I feel the more technologically advanced we become, the more into technology we become, which I'm going to be getting into that with you now. I feel like we're just going backwards, even though we think we're getting smarter. Because I look at smart people, and sometimes I look at a person who's super smart, and I think, man, they look like they're so smart, but they're so smart, they're actually stupider than a person who's not as smart. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because you're into paradoxes and, you know, and all that type of stuff, and you can see that. Because I can go like this. Yo, Aaron, can you read between the fucking lines, bro?
Read between the lines. It's just
you see what I'm saying?
It's probably just a more enjoyable.
Yeah, but you see what I'm trying to tell you, right? If you read between the lines, you actually see what I'm really doing, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Let me go back to address some of this stuff then, you see.
I can hear you. Just keep talking.
The first question is what does my channel stand for? If you said you wanted to describe my channel to somebody, if you said like, oh, I want to introduce you to this channel, and he said, well, what's this channel about? What would you say it's about?
Well, I would say your channel is more about you expressing your subjective experience about the world to others. That's what I would say.
Do you think there's a philosophical connotation to that?
There is a very philosophical connotation to that, but can you tell me the majority of the population that's into the philosophical perspective of looking at the world is? What is the percentage of people that actually see the world that way?
Very, very few. It's very small.
Very few. So then that means that would I be wise to introduce your channel to the average individual who's trying to reach enlightenment, knowing that when they look at your channel, they're probably going to fall into a negative pattern based on the negative or the edgy way of you expressing yourself is?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. But okay. Let me you know, sort of meander around this now, because my channel is philosophy.
I get you. I get you. I get you. You're like my friend. You're like my brother. I get you. But sometimes when I hear certain messages of like euthanizing the elderly, and see, I question those things because I'm like, it sounds very contradictory. And look, you know why I do what I do? Because I can. That's why I do it. I can come here on this channel. I got my own platform. You got yours. But I also have the power and ability to challenge your psyche, just like you have the ability and to do it to mine. Not everybody could do that to mine, and not everybody could do that to yours. You get what I'm saying?
You know, these conversations are
but it's a friendly way of doing it. I never want to go into bad blood with you because I actually genuinely love you, bro. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I feel good, man. I feel good.
Do you feel all warm and fuzzy inside when I tell you I love you?
Yeah, I feel all tingly, man. I feel all tingly. I feel like giving you a hug.
I do. I tingles. I can give you a So go ahead.
So, you know, due to the complexity of what's going on, there's many things happening within me, many spirits, many personality facets, many pains and many joys and all these sort of things. Now, people have seen my videos where I'm dealing with animals, and they can see that there's a very caring, loving facet to me in there. They don't get to see that with human beings because they don't see me engage with human beings, but carry that over almost to the same
But
degree.
you don't share that often, though.
I don't
You don't share that often.
I don't share that.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's my point. They have to see that side too.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, like when I spoke to you on camera, you just talked to me negatively about your neighbors, but you speak good about animals, but negatively about your human neighbors. And here's the thing, even though they're negatively about your human neighbors, that says a lot about you as far as to you being in your animalistic nature, that you get along more with animals than you do with humans. When humans are a direct mirror and version of yourself, the animalistic nature is the lower extremities, and that's how you act. Sometimes when you express on camera, that's why I challenge, Mr. Insidious.
Supercilious.
So I'm going to write that down because I want to remember Supercilious. I like Supercilious. He's a good guy. Or is it a guy or a girl?
He's a guy. Yeah.
It's a guy. Ziggy has got no gender, but just in case you ever want to talk to Ziggy, Ziggy has no gender.
Yeah, there's lots of people that watch my video from all different walks of life, and some people will be offended by some of the things I say, and some people will have some sort of a glee or an acknowledgement and a show of strength and kinship and allegiance with that we're thinking. So what I always do, I'm always being controversial in lots of ways, talking about religion, talking about all different sorts of facets of psychology and personality and all these different sorts of things.
Do you think that attracts drama?
Oh, yes, and I intend to attract drama. Whenever I bring out a supercilious video, they are invariably...
So is that a purpose that you have? Your purpose would be to attract negativity and drama, right?
Partially. One of the things is, because look, what it does is, Ziggy, it gets everybody engaging with each other, and it gets people's emotions up, and then I have their absolute undivided attention. Whereas normally, if they're not triggered, then they're washing up, or they're doing the shopping, they're doing the gardening, and then they'll put questions down about my videos, and I'll go, I said it absolutely fucking clear. And listen,
because they're weak-minded when they do that. That's the whole thing. That's why I said
this. I even said this on one occasion to one woman. I said, you weren't doing the fucking washing up by any chance when you were listening to the video. She says, I was actually. And that's it. They're distracted. They don't know what they're listening to. They're just hearing what they think they hear, and then they're putting down questions, whatever they think. And so I want to get their attention, and I know I can get their attention when I bring out Supercilious. And so when I bring out Supercilious, and I go, hey, dumb fuckers, or fat fuckers, or stupid.
How destructive is Supercilious, though?
Well, people will have to gauge that. You see what I'm doing? I'm opening people up and I'm saying, how many of you like Supercilious in these videos? How many of you benefit from that? But judging by the amount of comments, 30, 40 comments on the video, and, maybe 100 more hits, and most certainly more likes, somebody is liking something about those videos. And so,
well, hey, listen. Here's the thing, though. I like Supercilious. You know why? Was Supercilious channeled through the video that you spoke on the elderly, euthanizing the elderly?
Yes.
It got me going, bro. And I'm not. I don't easily get moved. And I'm like, you know what? It got me going. I'm like, but here's the thing, though. I didn't feel anything. But what I felt was, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking do a video with this guy, man, because it's like it's great content.
But let me say, the reason why, because this is what it does. It fires people up and it gets them thinking about it. Now, do people really think that I want to euthanize their parents? No, but what I want to do is I
would kill you, bro.
Sorry. Say it again.
I would have to kill you if you tried to do that.
Well, look, here's the thing. The government is trying to do that. The government is bringing in euthanasia.
They're doing that to young people, though.
Yeah, yes, they are. And so what I'm doing is, you see, if I bring it to their attention about the possibility of their parents, it brings it fucking home, and they'll be on the lookout for it. And then whenever the TV starts talking about euthanasia, they're going to go, "What, euthanasia? The Awake and Brave is talking about euthanasia."
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, but check this out. All right, so let's be serious. What is the purpose behind that topic that you spoke about, euthanizing the elderly?
Okay, so when we look at, for instance, I mean, I look at the world from a emotional perspective the vast majority of the time. I don't have a horse in the race. I'm indifferent whether we have Armageddon next week or Third World War. Really, I am, because I believe this whole experience is just an experience, and it doesn't really matter what sort of an experience, because we're infinite conscious beings, and we're going to come back, and we're going to go somewhere else, and all this sort of thing. And so I'm not the sort of person, oh, please, 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 let the world be beautiful. Oh, please, let there be a Jesus. Or please, let there be this. Please, but I'm like, it can be whatever it fucking wants to be.
No. But
it's a no control of mine. And just because I want
listen,
it to
Aaron,
be a certain way, I'm never going to change it, Ziggy.
But Aaron, you saying please be it that way, or it could be whatever way you want. Do you realize that you're still putting it as if it was out of your control? So when you say please, it's like you're begging for it to be one way. And when you say it could be any way it wants, you're still in the same space as if you have no control. When you have control of where it goes, you don't have to say please, or it could be any way it wants. You literally are taking the wheel, and you decide for it to be any way it does want. You get what I'm saying? This is why I'm telling you, and I've heard you say these word for word. This is where the world is going. You didn't say those words. You said this is where the world is going. When you say this, you're a powerful being, just like I am, just like anybody else is. Everybody has the potential to be very powerful with their words. You're doing what the forecast does. The weather doesn't mean shit. We create the weather. That's why it's called a weather forecast. They cast spells on you on camera telling you that this day is going to look like this. And because the collective believe it, that day turns out to be a rainy day. Right? That's why they say the weather forecast. When you're doing these words such as like this is where the world is going, you're kind of creating a forecast. You're creating a doomsday apocalypse with a certain individual who's weak-minded.
Yeah.
This is why it triggers me. Not triggers me. Again, language. Fuck it. I'm going to use the word trigger just so people don't get confused. But it kind of stimulates me to want to make a video with you, because I'm like, that's where I don't coincide with you on like how you're using these words to empower people. When I make videos, I have shadows also, but I have to make sure that I'm not too much on camera exposing these shadows, because then I'm going to have blood on my hands. I'm more or less the type that lets you know that I'm creating journals just like you are. You create journals of your life, but do your own work, and I say what Christ says. You have the same abilities I have, only better. You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to go on camera telling you I'm your savior, I'm your this, I channel God, and you don't have these abilities. You have these abilities. Just stop fucking like listening to the way that people say shit online, and more or less use your own discernment and intuition, which is dormant because nobody uses it. We all have common senses. This is what we have in common, but we don't use these common senses. And through these common senses, we decided to leave these extrasensory common senses aside and use the senses that we use on camera, the technology, which is basically the inversion of what we have as Christ-like, God-like figures, is basically being able to read energy telepathically, know what you're going through. And that's why I can relate. That's why I told you, I'm not here to tell you what you're doing is right or wrong. You're doing what you're doing. But I'm going to basically come on here as, they say that when you put out something, you're going to have equal or like for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you got Mr. Silius or Supercilious. I got my power, which is basically the ability to come on camera and challenge that view. You get what I'm saying? We're going to either neutralize it or some people can see your way, some people can see mine. It's up to their interpretation, but we're creating content, and I think it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. But when I hear you speaking, sometimes I'm like, man, we spoke on camera before. And we talk about how we are all God. We have these abilities and all that. But then you're saying this is where the world is going. Or we euthanize the elderly. Do you know the power in being young like a child, but also in being the elderly. So that you talked about the law of attraction. We go by the law of reciprocity. It's electric and magnetism. When you birthed a child into existence, you took care of them. It's a responsibility of yours. You kept them clean, kept them healthy up to a certain age. You guided them. You left a legacy. It's up to you to leave that legacy. But then now, when you get old and you can't take care of yourself, right? The law of reciprocity shows that they will take care of you, not because they have to, but because it's in their heart to do so, right? They'll do it, but it's not work off their hands, and you're not really feeling like you have to take too much off their skin. It's just happening in a harmonious way. It's not like you're a burden to them. They're only a burden to you depending on how you lived your life and the type of legacy you left for them. If you left a hard, life for them to leave. No, I'm gonna finish now. I'm not gonna make it too long-winded, bro. But let's say you lived a certain life. You birthed them into existence, but they didn't ask to be birthed into. But don't forget, they're you and you are them, and they created you in the process. It's kind of like a seesaw thing here. Your responsibility is to give them a better life than you had. Okay, because you saw between the lines and you saw the way of the light. You're the God of the world. You're God to them up to a certain age. And then up to that, now the gods serve you. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, your job is to give them that wisdom. But even if you weren't, and here's the beauty part about how life is right now, even if you were not an Aaron Berry and you're an old man as an Aaron Berry, let's say you were a dumb degenerate, like you talk about the people on camera, these people will always, if the person here is aware, they're always going to show you something, even though they're telling you something that you don't agree with. You can still see between the lines of what that old person is telling you. There's a lot of power. There's a lot of wisdom in that degenerating body. There's a lot of experience that you can gain from, but it's up to you to see what it is that they live. They're a generational information that came out of you. You're in the same lineage for that reason. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I could look at an old man from, like, let's say, out of my family line, and I still see the value in that person because there's something there. But as Christ-like figures, we're supposed to find a way to give the light into that person, either getting better or prevent them from degenerating even further. It's not work. It's just a lifestyle. And it's something that you just know to do because you're in that mode of Christ. You know what I'm saying? You're in that God mode, let's say. But I'm going to let you go in there. I don't want to make it long-winded, but I don't know. I feel like we're here to be Christ-like figures. We're here to endure the sins of the world, but we're also here to show the way, show the light through either corruption or whatever it may be, your shadows. But you're always going to find the right words to be impactful without being attractive in a negative way.
Right. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of truth in that. I could have vastly more viewers if I changed my tactics and made people feel a whole lot more comfortable. But my whole...
But it's not about the comfort. Don't get me wrong. It's not about comfort or being comfortable or telling them what they want to hear. It's nothing about that. I don't want you to think that that's my message. It's to make people feel comfortable, because I'm not about that either. Even when you hear my videos aren't about making people feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I'll let them know what the...
It's the actual end game that I'm saying. Let me talk about the end game then. Let me talk about two personal experiences that I've had in very recent times, and it's ongoing now. One of them is with the grandmother of my daughter, and the mother of my daughter, who I was with for 11 years. Now, the mother of my daughter has been a doting daughter to her mother as she's got older and older and old. She's 86 years old now, and she's been wiping her ass and taking the shopping and just doing everything for her for years. She's got to a point whereby she looks like she's 140 years old. She's sitting herself. She doesn't remember her fucking name. She can't recognize herself in a photo. She's angry all the time because she's in pain and this, that, and the other. She doesn't want to go into an old people's home. She's disgruntled. She's bad language and all these sort of things. And it caused so much stress for the mother of my daughter that she ended up in hospital. And she says that I can't deal with it anymore. What we're going to do, I need help. She had to call on her brother to come down from another city to help. My daughter had to take time off work. Lots of people got involved because this one old fucking person, completely useless, and no value to anybody anymore. And to be quite frank, I'm positive that everybody wants her to die gracefully, and so they can have a bit of payback from the money in the house, because otherwise what's going to happen is that old person is going to go into an old people's home. They charge £4,000 a month. Within 2 years, all the money out of the fucking equity is gone. The daughter gets nothing, and the daughter of the daughter gets nothing, and the son gets nothing. Who gets something? The fucking state. That's one of the things I'm fucking annoyed with. And
so it's resources, right?
Resources. And it's not only resources, it's the stress. Nobody wants it, Ziggy. Next door, this 88-year-old woman, she would call out the medics fucking every single night. There would be 4 medic vans 4 times a day. There'd be a whole entourage of people up and down these fucking stairs going to her, pills, this and the other. She ran up a phone bill. Just let me continue this. Ran up a phone bill for 1 month for £300. Doctor. I speak to her. I used to go in there. She says, I'm bored fucking stiff, Aaron. I don't want to be here. And I can't say, why don't you fucking die then? You know, but she's moaning about this, moaning about that. She says, I've been housebound for the past 2 years. I don't want to go into a home, but there's no point in me being here. She wants to die herself, Ziggy. Her daughter has become a nervous fucking wreck because she has sacrificed her whole life for the past fucking 10 years, coming up and down these fucking stairs with bags of shopping. That's what I'm against. I'm pro for some sort of legalizing of euthanasia with a re-education, that when people get to a certain point, when they're shitting themselves, they don't remember the fucking name, it's time to go. And that way the resources are going to be released to the people who own it, who are destined to get it. They should have it. The siblings, the children of the parents, instead of it all being gobbled up in fucking old people's homes. And so there's many reasons why I say the old folks should be euthanized. But you see, it's a small mentality of feeling like over compassionate. Compassionate for what? Let me tell you this. Jesus was compassionate, but in a very different way. And you know, his level of compassion, you know, I'm sure would extend to, well, let's have a look at what compassion is. Is it more compassionate to keep them alive against their will, or is it compassionate to help them go? This is why all governments over the world now, they're all saying to everybody when they're going to the hospital, do you want this person resuscitating? And I'm telling you now, it couldn't be even 40 years old, 50 years old. One person was 50 years old. They're asking, do you want this person resuscitating? Right? The whole world is coming down on this shit. And they're coming down on it, Ziggy, for a very good reason, because there's more intelligence up there than there is on the lower echelons of fucking society, which are all governed by their fickle emotions. There's no point in these people being alive once they are not compass mentors, once they don't have a quality of life. So I'm all up for the Bernard Shaw type fucking vetting. Bernard Shaw was a philosopher, poet, or politician of the late 1800s, and he said every person over a certain age must have a vetting every single year to see if they are still societally viable, if there's any purpose for them to be here. If there's no purpose for them to be here, and if they're not compass mentors, if they're not writing poetry, if they're not creating art, if they're not fucking doing something except draining resources, somebody's got to make a decision whether the world wants them or not. Because Ziggy, the way the world's going, the population is going like this now. For many years it was going like this, and it started to go up like this. Now it's going up like that. That's why the World Economic Forum, that's why Bill Gates and all these people are bringing in all these things. That's why they're creating a third fucking world war, because they're so desperate, Ziggy, to get the population down. I'm well ahead of the fucking game on this.
But Aaron, you don't do you think this is a trigger of yours or no?
A trigger?
Yeah, you seem very emotional speaking about it, but you're telling me that.
Well, you know, I mean, the point is, look.
Be honest, is it a trigger or no?
I don't feel
older
triggered.
people being alive, and I feel like you know, like they can't like sustain themselves. You don't think this is a trigger to you?
Well, look, I just look around at what's going on, and I look in this building, and you say to me that, oh, these people low down here, there's always something to learn from.
But Aaron, think about this though.
I haven't learned a single fucking thing from anybody in this building.
But if you're seeing this, let's say somebody else doesn't see it like this, but you're seeing it. You don't consider that? You're a psychologist, and I'm a psychologist too. You don't see that as a trigger, though?
It's something I may be passionate about. I don't feel triggered. I mean, look, my parents died a long time ago. My mother died when I was 4, and my dad killed himself when he was 67. And he was gone from being any use to any of us for 10 years. He was in a stupor. He was taking all sorts of medications. He'd left us a long time ago, and he made his choice. He did the right thing to stop burdening from everybody.
Let me ask you this. So supposing you get to be 85 years old and you're like an older man ranting about the stuff you talk about on camera, but nobody's listening to you anymore. Do you think that you'd be a burden to anybody else at 85 or 90 years old?
Well, look, I've not thought out every nook and cranny of this thing. Of course, it's a very...
Well, you should, because it's about you.
Well, look, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm old and fucked and of no use to anybody, then, you know, I'll be the first to put my hand up and say, what's the point of me being here? If I can't leave the building...
I get it. But here's my question, though. If you're 85 and 90 and you become decrepit, do you think that you'd be a burden to your family, or you wouldn't be a burden to your family?
Oh, absolutely, I'm going to be a burden to my family, and I don't want to be a
burden. Right, because did you have any money to leave behind that they can actually say
nothing.
You got the best...
Right, so then now here's why they would want to be wiping my shit for fucking the last 10 years of my life.
Exactly. So here's my... Right, but that's my point. And I know you're smart enough to say, just put me out of my misery. Who gives a fuck, right? But not everybody has that mentality.
I'll go and take some fucking medication in my favourite woods. I'll just end it. You know, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of death.
But that's my point. But here's the thing, though. That's fine. That's 100%. But in my opinion, like I told you in the last video, you're waking up every day because you have to wake up. You need to wake up. See, here's the thing. You have to complete a certain, in my opinion, okay, because I tell people not to listen to what the fuck I'm saying, but you're living your life sentence and you should complete your life sentence, right? You're enduring the sins of the world. How do you know? Because this is something you just don't know. How do you know that that person is not meant to be alive and they're enduring something that they're supposed to endure? And it's not up to you to put an end to it, but it's up to them to keep finishing their life sentence, to finish that up and complete their cycle that they're supposed to complete. It's kind of like you forcing a flower to flower, meaning like if they're dying, they're supposed to flower when they die. But a lot of people do this in gardening. They force flowers to flower. They force the animals into getting bigger by injecting steroids and antibiotics into them to get them bigger and fatter, give birth a lot quicker because it's all in the interest of a profit, right? You said that in order for them to die is because you're trying to save resources. That's a poverty consciousness. See, because here's the... Right, and relieve stress. But here's the thing, though. I don't have stresses like that in my life. You said you don't have stresses in your life.
No.
But if you think about it... But listen, I'm going to finish. I'm not going to... Let me finish. I'm going to finish. I got to finish this thought, bro. If you really look at it from a light level, the government takes care of you. You said that that you're getting cosmic credits. The government takes care of you. If you really look on an esoteric level, what the fuck is the government, bro? So the government is something outside of you as a manifestation of what you got within you. So you consider it cosmic credits. You manifested it in physical form as you getting benefits and whatnot. But I've always said before that there's nothing better than to live this experience and to try to feel that fulfillment of gaining that monetary gains, you know, in a way that you're doing something of passion and what you want to do. You're leaving a legacy for your children where they're living such a good life that you will never be a burden. They may even buy you a fucking house. You know what I'm saying? They may buy you a house with a house attendant. But if you leave a fucked up legacy behind, because you got to look at it like this. We're living this life and we're creating a sort of spaceship for an afterlife. This is what the Egyptians did. People have their life here. They have children and they live vicariously to their children, but they pass these negative programs down to their children telling them, I want you to be this, I want you to be that, all in the interest of trying to make them better than you. But they never know what the children actually want to do. How do we know if we guide the children the right way and they actually become something so big because they're doing something that they want to do, that they gain the monetary gains that you never would have accomplished if you would have just followed your heart, being guided by your parents, which is God, following God? Then you're doing something that God is supposed to be doing above you, whatever the fuck you consider God to be, which is the authority of your life. This is why I do whatever the fuck I want to do. I follow my heart. Even if it doesn't feel right, I'll do it up to a point where I feel like it's ran its course. You get what I'm saying? But the only point that I do what I don't want to do is when I know I'm doing something for the greater good, but it's disciplined against what my animalistic nature wants to do. That's not in my best interest. That's going against the negative program. But that's where Christ consciousness has to kick in. It's kind of like an old person. In order for them to come out of poverty consciousness to get into abundant consciousness, they have to change their patterns and their habits. But in the beginning, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. So people will say, well, why don't you do what you want to do? Well, if you're in a negative program and you're doing what you want to do, you're going to stay in that same negative program, right? So when it comes down to everything else, then I'm going to do what's in the best interest of my child, where he may even buy me a home with a home attendant, and I don't have to worry about my life. Okay. It's not going to be a burden to him, right?
Yeah.
But do you get my psychology behind this whole thing that I'm telling you, or not?
Psychology is personal to you, and there's 8.5 billion people which have got different circumstances on this planet, and so many people are much more.
But what does it take for them to change that circumstance, though?
Well,
proper mindset.
It's very complicated to get. There's people in India, born into the lower class, these caste systems.
Why were they born there, though? Why were they born there?
Well, I mean, what do you mean metaphysically?
They were vibrated. Even if we could talk about this beyond the physical, because we're metaphysical beings. Me and you know how to go beyond the physical. But if you look at it, I'm born in the richest country on the planet. I'm born in the most prestigious country on the planet, which is America. But if you're born in a third world country, it's because that's where your soul was vibrating to. That's where you're born at. But then you have more obstacles than I would have to overcome to be here. See, me, I'm very stupid. I'm in the richest country in America, yet I would look at all these obstacles I have, but then these people would literally commit suicide crossing the border to get here. And when they get here, they don't have a college education. They know construction, and they make more money than somebody who went to college here and fucking got into debt being in the system that we're in. You get what I'm saying? Even if you're born here, it doesn't mean shit. It's your mindset and how sovereign you are. Because I can be born here, go through a college education system, get myself into debt, then go out in the world and I got no job. But then meanwhile, I got an immigrant who's really good with their hands. They come and risk their life to cross the border because they can get killed by sharks. They get arrested by custom borders. But yet, if they do make it here, how is it that they're more? And I've seen it because I'm here in the South. There's a lot of fucking Mexicans here.
Are you triggered by
No, not triggered. I'm passionate. There's a big difference between passion and trigger. But I like that. I like that you pointed that out. But check this out. It's a passion because if you look at it, these Mexicans, they come here, they're driving fucking pickup trucks. And I got my Jeep, bro. Look, I got my shit. I got both my Jeeps hooked up over here. I like the life I live. I like it. But here's the thing, though. I'm not in a consciousness that's in poverty. You get what I'm saying? And I don't live in Lamborghini land, but yet I got friends who are very fucking rich because I went to California and I can live there if I want. But I would have to do a lot of sacrifices to do that. And I don't want to do that because I like what I'm doing. You get what I'm saying? I'm telling you right now, Aaron, you're a metaphysical person, and as I am. If you look at my Instagram, my friends got Lamborghinis, Rolls Royce, the newest Tesla, the fucking G-Wagon. They got all those cars in their garage right now. And they said, Pete, come do business with us over here. I don't want it because it would have, I'm telling you, it would have to be at the risk of something that's different, that's spiritually connected to me. I'm telling you.
Selling your soul.
Yes. And yes, because see what they're doing has a lot to do with something that I don't stand for. You get what I'm saying? Look, if I wanted to be a very popular YouTuber, you think I wouldn't just be like, let me just be a vegan and make vegan content? You know how many fucking views these bitches get? It's like a religion. Anything that's religified gets a lot of views. But you know what? I'm not going to do that because I don't believe, even though I see the whole concept spiritually behind why you shouldn't eat animals, right? I still eat them, but I know what the fuck I'm doing. But if you want to make it a religion, shit, make it a religion. You're going to make a lot of money on YouTube. You're going to make a lot of money on Instagram. I've seen it, bro. I've seen it. It's just the same way with religion. I can go and be a Christian. I'd be the best fucking speaker to be a Christian or a vegan because I can speak very well. I'm like fucking Adolf Hitler. I got the fucking energy and passion and the fucking drive to speak in public. But one thing I can tell you is that I have integrity. I got to keep that integrity within myself because it would kill my spirit. That's another reason why I tell you that. Can you kill spirit? Yes, you can kill spirit. Because you would kill the essence of what makes you, Ziggy or Aaron, to break that integrity, and you sold your soul for the integrity of like the root of all evil, which is chasing money. So you break who you are as a spirit, or like the channeled energy that makes you Ziggy or Aaron, to chase money. So me not being authentic to myself, I would go be a vegan just in the interest of making money. But meanwhile, I don't really believe in that. You know how many people are religious Christians that I speak to, and I ask them the deepest of topic of questions, and they don't even know how to answer me? And you know why? They're just following it because they like the camaraderie of the church. They like the fucking being able to be part of a community or whatnot. And these people are lost in the fucking sauce, bro. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that's what I'm passionate about, is that shit. Because when I look at that as my children. And I'm the God of my worldview. You're the God of your world. So when you say the world is going this way, yes, the world is going that way for you. If you decided for it to go that way in your worldview, it doesn't go that way. But it doesn't mean that because you say that, I don't believe you. It could go that way. But if you'll experience it directly, while I'll just look at it at the comfort of my own sofa in the news, the world going that way for you. You get what I'm trying to say? That's why I'm passionate about what the fuck I talk about. But go ahead, I'll let you go.
But I mean,
cheers,
I don't,
buddy.
Yeah, cheers, man. I don't tend to be guided by my emotions, you know, into the things I say, because I like I say, I don't want the world to be any way, and I say, you know, quite callously, but it's more of a metaphysical ascendance that I don't care whether, you know, the world, you know, exists or not, because I don't believe in the physical world any more than it's a dream. Well, because all of my experiences they've shown me that you know, the world is Maya. It is an actual fact illusion, and we can listen to thousands and thousands of different people telling us why. We can listen to the variety of Tom Campbell. We can listen to the
but here's the point. Look what you're saying. But you're coining these people. But you said there's no such thing as nothing in the physical world, or but you're referencing these people. You get what I'm saying? If there's no such thing as these people, then why are you referencing these people? I don't care what these... Look, you know why I never reference philosophers or anything like that? Because I don't believe any of them. They're all a manifestation of my ego, trying to make me either feel good or believe in the lie that I'm trying to continue to be in charge of as my ego. You get what I'm saying? I don't care about Tom Campbell. I don't care about Jordan Peterson. I don't care about none of those. I think they're all fucking agents. All of them. You get what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you right now, I bet you $100,000 that if I go on a debate with Jordan Peterson, I would crack him. I would crack him. I would crack Sadhguru. I could crack anybody. You know why? Because I'm the universal champion. Look, maybe I'm talking a little bit because look, I like red. I'm in my root chakra and I'm drinking red wine. Yeah. So I want you and the viewers to excuse me. I'm not trying to be, like, you know, facetious or egotistical. But I'm being serious, bro. I have that much belief in myself. I think that they have big platforms because technology recognizes as the ego to keep those people in power, to keep that system moving. You have to understand, bro. This is why I'm against this shit. Technology is the fucking female energy. That's why they call it la tecnología. Man, the woman came out of Adam's rib. That's the technology that was created to have an experience in creation. When you have to experience creation, what do you have to rely on? Electromagnetism. That's positive and negative. That's black and white. That's acid and alkaline. But they all have their individual purposes.
Right, going to put you on
the
top now.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm
sorry, bro, but I get a little bit worked up too, just like you do at times, man. And I love that shit, bro.
But you see, there's so many ways to look at the world, and you know, I do an enormous amount of research into what is out there, and what is out there.
Why?
Well, because
why do you do the research?
I just
because you're looking for the information outside of yourself, or do you just feel like you could process something that's already within you?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's well, I mean, why does anybody do anything? I mean, I obviously get something.
Oh, there's a purpose to everybody doing everything. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's a purpose to everything I do.
Look, I've got all this time on my hands, and so why wouldn't I want to educate myself to gain greater awareness of what's going on in this fictitious world and all these sort of things? And
but what if you realize that everything you've looked at is a lie?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a lie.
You said it's Maya. It's not real. Yeah. So why are you looking outside?
Well, you see, when we say it's Maya or it's not real or it's an illusion, it's none of it's what it appears to be. You know, it all falls away. It all morphs into other things when we look at things. This is why we can never definitively find the root of anything. We can never definitively find the root of January the 6th.
You can.
No, you can't.
You can.
You can't.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
It only turns out to be subjective experience.
That's when you have dominion over the rest of the animal kingdom, which is the root system of your body. The shit that you're projecting outside is the root. Is you're literally looking at yourself. So when I'm looking at myself, I'm able to examine the roots, because when I'm listening to something, it's going down to my root system. And if I don't have stable roots, then it might trigger me because I'm in my animalistic nature. And what's the animalistic instinct? Is to be aggressive and instinctual when you're in fear.
But here's
right?
the thing.
Or when you're why are things over sexualized? Because if you're imbalanced in your root system, then you may get turned on in a sexual, lustful way, and you lost control because you're in your animalistic nature.
Yeah.
And
on top of all that, you know, you're a young man relatively now, and if you live to be twice your age, then many of your perspectives will change drastically. And then, you know, you see, when we look back at our videos, we can do this because we've been making videos a few years. You look at the videos and you go, fuck, did I say that? I'm almost blushing. And so we keep moving on, we keep evolving. So you're speaking as a man that's 20 years younger than me. It's a different perspective. We live on a different continent. We've got a different idea about the world. We see the world differently. And of course, you know, there's a vast amount of differences. And so when I say this, you know, it's for all the reasons that pertain to me. When you do that and you've got aspirations of this, it's all the reasons that pertain to you. Now, what I say to my viewers, I say, look, you know, there's 200 people that watch my videos, and people could say to me, oh, you could make a lot of difference. I'm like, well, there's 8.5 or 8.5 billion people on the planet. Forgive me for not thinking that there's going to be any difference made to anything of any substance out of my mouth. And so we're all role playing. The only difference about anything that's ever going to take place on this planet is when collective consciousness moves in a certain way. And collective consciousness is going to move in certain ways with a whole myriad of variables. That's the only thing that's remotely important on the whole planet. And you know, it's like when the tide comes in and throws all the grains of sand of the beach around. Is it important? It's not important, because it does it twice a day, every day, and it's going to do it forever and ever and ever. And it has been doing it forever and ever and ever. So if we look at one grain of sand with any level of importance, then we're being greatly naive, foolish, and delusional. But if we look at the ocean and we go, well, you know, the ocean is something because it's got power to manipulate and mold. Well, yes, it can do that. And that's what consciousness has got. Consciousness has got the power to manipulate and to mold. And the world is going to go in a certain way, whatever way spirit moves it to. Now, there's always machinations going on, trying to change this and trying to change that and trying to control consciousness. But ultimately, they will never ever do it to the degree they want to, because things can just change in an instantly. The zeitgeist of a country will change in an instant, and then all their plots and plans will just fall away. But, you know, at this moment in time now, you know, your country is surreptitiously moving the draft laws through Congress.
I'm not really concerned with none of that stuff.
Yeah, so okay,
you know what it is, though, is that I decided to I don't put my attention there, because that's the thing, that's what they want. They want your attention to go there. You know what I'm saying? Because with your attention, you can manifest a reality. I don't even think the war is real. I don't think any of that shit is real. It's all fucking stage propaganda, but you make it a real thing with your attention and the choice you make to put any attention to it. It's the biggest currency on the planet, is your attention. So I don't care about the draft laws. I don't care about none of that. It's not going to affect me at all. It doesn't even affect me what president's in power. You know, I do what I do, and I'm doing what I'm doing, making money, doing what I have to do, because my mind is straight. If my mind, the only thing that can make my mind distorted is if I start paying attention to the politics, which is all lies, the religious system, which is lies, you know what I'm saying, the education system, which is lies, YouTubers that talk a lot of shit that I like, you know, I like, not you, but I like you. But I'm saying, like, the majority. You know, I can make a lot of money if I decided to get into a warlike state and decide to start challenging these big YouTubers, I could do that. You get what I'm saying? But I should do that. You know, I'm thinking about why don't I do that? Why don't I do that? Why don't I challenge Jordan Peterson? Tell him to get on fucking camera. Are you afraid? Or you just? I look like a smaller YouTuber, so you can't talk to me. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah,
look,
these people look like they have more credibility because they have more fucking viewers, more fucking subscribers, right? But it's a fucking it's full of bots. You know how many people's channels don't even have real accounts?
no,
It's just fake ass fucking bots.
yeah. So look, we both have the same thoughts on this. And in my recent videos, I've been saying that, you know, I want to challenge Jordan Peterson. I want to challenge any of these people that are out there. I wrote to Russell Brand, and I wanted an audience with him. But you see, these people, they're too big now for regular Joes, because what they do is they're not speaking to anybody less for $100,000, and they only speak to the people in their own fraternity. And if you look what they do, they invite all their friends on to speak so highfalutinly and eloquently and bullshitly. They're literally sitting on their intellectual ivory towers, talking down to the whole fucking world, masturbating.
What do you think of Russell Brand?
What?
What do you think of Russell Brand? What do you think of Russell Brand?
Well, look, I think he's got a certain level of integrity. He's always been a socialist. He wants the best for the little man. He generally does feel a compassion and love, because he's always expressed that, and I've never seen anything else. And that's what he's always banging on about on his videos. He's always trying to wake people up and, you know, instill in them, do you know this is happening? Do you know that's happening? Do you want it to happen? Have you ever thought about it? You know, he's doing basically what I do, only on a much more bigger scale, with a much more pleasant delivery. But you know, he recently has fallen to Christ. He's got baptized and he's become a fully bona fide Christian. And it was only say like 5 years ago that he was talking about the dead desert dogma religions are fucking worthless, and now all of a sudden he's a full-blown Christian, counting his prayer beads, and he's got his crucifix around him. You know,
what do you think about that?
Well, I think he's very confused, and I did a video about it, and I said, look, what I think is happening with Russell Brand. Russell Brand was a very emotional, bereft individual. He was brought up by his mother, and he never had any love, nothing like the love that he needed. He was a heroin addict from a very young age, and he would have died unless somebody who was very close to him ensured that he went into rehab and fucking stayed there. Now, because he could get his emotional feeding from what he does, being a comedian and being an actor, this, that, and the other, then he's managed to stay afloat. But in recent times, he's married now, and he's got 3 kids, and he's got a baby son. And within the first few months, the son had to have open heart surgery. Now, during that open heart surgery, none of the rest of the things that he'd acquired, the love of his wife, his 2 beautiful daughters already, which he had, and all his friends and family which were supporting him through this hardship, nothing filled the hole of his fear and his despair. And so then, in my estimation, he's just trying to clutch at something else. Maybe Christ is going to fill my void, because he's got a void in him, just the same as I suppose I've got a void. I don't know, well, maybe we've all got a void, because it seems that we all want to get back ultimately into the womb, because as soon as we come out into the womb, into this place, we just don't feel like it's our home.
What is the womb?
Sorry?
What is the womb?
Well, the womb is the state of consciousness, which is absolutely bliss, and the womb for me, the natal womb is indicative of the cosmic womb. From the cosmic womb, we come into the natal womb, and then we come into the earth. But ultimately, how many people do we know that just want to get back to somewhere where they feel they belong, and it's not here? When we was in the womb, when we had all of our needs catered wanted for, optimum temperature, optimum, you know, food and everything. We didn't need for anything. Then all of a sudden we come out into this, and it's kind of like, oh fuck, we need this, we need that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. We're doing all these things that we don't really want to do. And at the end of the day, you're getting joy out of chasing paper. But if you didn't have to chase paper, there'd be many, many things that you'd much rather do. Trust me, if you put your mind to it. You'd probably just like to do gardening all day long, you just like to breed cats, or you just like to go for walks in the fucking woods or something. You wouldn't give a fuck about earning money, and it'd mean nothing to you. But because you're caught in that trap, you're in America, you're in the heart of the beast, then you're falling into that, and it's working for you because that's what America does. It enables it to work for lots of people because it keeps them all exactly where they wanted. And so, you know, there's so many things. It's so complex, this world, and you know, we're all just doing our bit. And you know, people will say to me in the comments, "Great video, loved it, hilarious. Your videos are the best," and this, that, and the other. And then the odd one will go, "Well, you shouldn't be saying this," and you know, "You've upset me," or "Why are you persecuting women?" And I'm like, "What? You just tuned into my channel and you think I'm persecuting women, you know, because I don't know what something I've said. How did I say something?" You know, there's lots of strange people out there, Ziggy, and you know, I've met plenty, and you know, they're attracted to this sort of channel. But you see,
Aaron, I want to ask you this question. What's your definition of a woman?
Definition of a woman: the female version of a man.
I know. Every time I ask you a question, you always say like when I ask you what is love, you say it's the opposite of hate. Or give me a concrete.
Because it's nothing definitive. You see, the man and the woman are a unity. They're not separate. You can't separate them, because without one, there isn't the other. And so when you say,
is there a difference between a man and a woman? What's the difference between a man and a woman?
There's no difference between anything, ultimately, is there? We're all one. We're all one state of consciousness, broken into
in this physical realm. We're in a conversation here, so we gotta make, because I can say, like, you know how you said in videos before, like there's no meaning to anything. So it's like I can ask you, well, what's the purpose of us talking if words don't have meanings? But let's have a conversation. What is the difference between a man and a woman?
Well, you know, you start with biology, you start with the mentality, the psyche, you start with the attributes, you start with the things they can do, the jobs they are, you know, most proficient in, you know, blah, 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 blah. They give babies, they give life, and all these sort of things. And they are emotionally more imbalanced than the men. But if you leave the world leadership to women, then humanity will probably last a whole lot longer. And, you know, of course, you know, we need more women involved in everything, most certainly politics and big business, because if anybody's going to be saving the planet, then it's going to be them. Many years ago, I said, look, the only people that are ever going to save the planet are the women. Why? Because they're going to have the strongest allegiance and compulsion towards their children, because they're going to go, you ain't killing my fucking babies. You ain't doing this to my babies.
Are you you consider yourself a conservative or a liberal?
Neither.
Yeah. You made a video that you said where the liberals are going to be the end of humanity. Why'd you make that video?
Well, you see, what the powers that be are doing, they are bringing everybody down to the lowest denomination. And they're doing it under the pretense of compassion, love and sympathy, and the whole thing that we're all equal. But the point is, you know, that's a very good tactic for people that want to weaken a whole society to the lowest denomination, because that's what they're doing. They're bringing you down to the transvestite, they're bringing you down to the gays, they're bringing you down to the pedophiles. They even want to promote pedophiles. There's no problem with pedophiles. You know, just a little bit, you know, maybe just give them a pill or something like that. You know,
you consider pedophiles part of liberalism?
But look, if
you said in a video, the last video you put up, you talked about how we're all programmed to, like, that's why men can't date a 13-year-old girl or a 15-year-old girl. You would have to go to another country, and it's because of programs. So if you're saying that you're neither one of them, why did you say that in one of the videos, if you wanted to get with a younger female, what would be the problem with that? Is because we're programmed. That's why they would see the problem in that.
Yes, well, you see, I've been around many, many countries, and when I was living in Africa, when I was 10 years, 14 years ago, I had a girlfriend that was 18 years old. And whenever any of the guys went to the
But
bar...
you mentioned specifically a 15, or I think a 15-year-old girl would marry a man, and it's only programmed here not to be able to do that, but in another country you could.
Yes. Now, I don't know around the world what the age limits are, but I'm guaranteeing that somewhere...
But you said 15 specifically in this video.
Yeah.
So do you think that pedophile is a crime or is not a crime?
Well, I mean, to take advantage of anybody is a crime. So that's one thing that we have to look at, to take advantage. But, you know, Sigmund Freud, when he was speaking about sexuality, he was saying that babies are sexual. And babies can have erections and they can be stimulated in their genitalia and this, that, and the other. And he was saying it's a complete fallacy that the whole stimulation with sex with human beings comes about at puberty. He proved it absolutely to be fake. The whole of the Victorian era was up in arms.
Forget Sigmund Freud. What do you think about it?
What do I think about it? Well, look, I've lived in Africa, and the African people, in their tribes, they will marry when a girl starts to menstruate. And I said, well, look, if a girl is menstruating...
Which is underage, right?
Underage for what? For who?
No. But, I mean, when a girl starts menstruating, they're underage, like under the legal age limit here in America.
Well,
or
yeah,
in the UK.
I'm not talking about America. You see, this is the thing. Look, in America, in some states, girls not even allowed to have sex until they're 18 years old. And this is one of the biggest things with Jeffrey Epstein, because one of the girls was 17. And so they really went after him on that one. But, you know, I say to people, you know, in relation to this, all those girls, if you listen to the documentaries, they was at school, university, and they're all talking with each other about how we can go and earn $200 by just giving someone a massage, and maybe if you give them a blowjob, then you're going to get a little bit more. And they were all flocking, and Epstein, along with Ghislaine, they had hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of girls between them over all this time. And there was never any problem with the girls per se. Who has the problem? Government has the problem. Jurisdiction has the problem, because they want control over people. But, you know, if you look around and if you ask people, if you're in touch with people these days, at what age they're having sex, then guaranteed they're having sex at 13, 14 minimum. And so that's the age that they want to do it. If they're menstruating at 11, then that's the age that the cosmos says that they are able to have sex and have babies. And so it's only down to government.
But this is animalistic, though, isn't it?
Well, we're animals.
I mean, look at animals. I mean, there's cats out here that before I spayed and neutered, they were getting pregnant within like the first 6 months of life.
Yeah. Well,
that's animalistic.
That's what nature does. And you see, look, what my point is to broaden people's horizon. And you know,
I'm asking you these questions to get down to the root of the psyche. Like you said, you can't get to the root of things, but you can. If you ask certain questions to get to the root core of certain things, you can. The reason I'm asking you these questions is because you made a video and you said that what would be the problem if you got with a younger girl, or the only reason that us consider pedophiles to be pedophiles if a girl sleeps with a guy at the age of 18 is because of age of 15 is because of programming.
Yeah.
So you would be more of a liberal, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, you see, I will look at it in both ways again, because I will say, look, I think if you're looking at it logically, so I look at everything as logically as I can, without being emotionally, without, you know, stating my biases.
No. I get that. I get that. You leave the humanity aside, but do you But that's what I'm saying, because based on your worldviews in the last video you made, wouldn't you consider yourself more of a liberal?
Well, there are, some things. I'm more liberal if I say, well, look,
Then conservative, right?
the age of consent in lots of other countries varies. And so when we look at the most oppressive countries, which are our countries, the age of consent is the highest. Why is that? Because they want to exercise more control. Why is that? Because they don't want young parents who are
But
not
you know why?
enough to have children, because it costs the state more money. That's
But
why.
because it's a patriarchal society. That's why. So why does a girl tend to sleep with a guy, or tend to be more sexual at it, or like tend to do things that are not what we would consider conservative? Is because they're missing the father figure in their life, right? So like, let's say for example, people look up to the government to be their daddy and their god. This is why they have to implement those laws, because since people can't really lead themselves, that they have to be led by government, education, and all that. Pharmaceuticals, that's why it's a patriarchal system. They become the father. You get what I'm saying? Since they're missing the father figure in their house, they turn toward what the patriarchal system tells them. But then here's the thing, though. That's why those laws are implemented. But based on your worldviews, you said you consider yourself more liberal or conservative.
I suppose it varies, because you couldn't say that I'm a liberal if I would advocate for euthanasia. You would say I'm a very radical. So I'm.
Well, no, that's liberalism still. At the end of the day, if you consider, well, it's a radical position, but at the end of the day, here's my look. This is why I'm asking you these questions, because I told you in the beginning of this video that there's a lot of contradictions in the stuff you say. You get what I'm saying? And I'm challenging those views.
The universe is a paradox. Human consciousness.
But you can't use that, because that's like saying I'm going to have my opinion on something. That's like me saying I'm going to go and be an anti-feminist, but I'm not for any of those positions. So you protect yourself from criticism.
Say it when we completely step outside of the systems, of the constructs.
But all that does is it protects yourself. It protects yourself from criticism. That's all you're doing. When you say that it's a paradox, or you're not positioned to any one of those things, that all you're doing is you're making an opinion, but it protects you from criticism.
Well,
so why would you put a stance on something? Why would you have an opinion if you don't have a stance on something? It's kind of like somebody saying, I have a spirit, no soul. It's like what I'm telling you in the beginning of this video.
Well, you see, if
you have to have a root system to what you're doing. That's why I said you have to have a purpose. If I have a root stock and I graft a tree, I have to make sure that, but listen. If I have a root stock and I plan to graft a tree on it, my interest is to gain some type of fruit out of that. So you have no grounds. You have no root system to what you're saying. You're just saying words sometimes.
I'm just saying words. Yeah, I'm just philosophizing. I'm just free flowing, and I'm speaking about anything that has moved me.
But that's chaotic.
The cosmos is mostly chaotic, and we struggle like fuck to.
But you're a man, and your job as a man is to make order out of that chaos. If not, you're just spreading the chaos. Yeah, you gotta have control. If I decide to make chaos on the planet, I have a purpose for that chaos. Let's say, for example, if I decide to create a forest fire, something new has to be created out of that. So what is your purpose behind the chaos that you're creating when you said you're being chaotic because you're being in line with the cosmos? The cosmos is you, but you're the man here, because then that you'll be in line with people saying I'm the chosen one. When you're not the chosen one, you're the one making the choice. So if you're the one making the choice, what is your purpose behind the chaos you're creating with the words you're saying? Because words are spells, and words have power to be either empowering or swords to destroy. But what is the purpose behind the chaos to destroy?
Well, I mean, you're assuming that there is a purpose for chaos to destroy.
I'm asking you.
Well, because
there's always if you're in this room, you have to have a purpose.
I stated that I will leave whatever choice up to the individual. I'm serving a suggestion, and it's kind of like I have a restaurant, and I serve Italian one day, I serve Chinese the next day, I serve Indian the next day, I serve English the next day, and then people that come to my restaurant go, I thought you was an Italian restaurant, and I was yesterday, but now I'm Indian. Well, for fuck's sake, that's fucking with my head. I'm sorry, I'm not responsible for your head. I'm just doing what I want to do. See, you look, Ziggy, we have to be very careful about what we impose on people. Just because people are governed in their own ego centric and biases and government imposed control systems, then everybody wants to control everybody else. Well, you can't say this and you can't do this, and if you do this and if you do that.
No.
Look,
Let me ask you this: Do you think humanity is in a fallen state, or do you think humanity is going toward the God consciousness of the planet? Do you think there's a positive shift or a negative shift happening on the planet?
I think there's both, of course. There's always both. You see, I will never be defined as anything, because I can say to you, well, look, there's 500,000 soldiers deployed on the board of a crane, ready to invade at the drop of a hat. There's Russian nuclear submarines off Cuba, and there's all different sorts of fucking boats, China, all around the world, right? It's ready to kick off. That's going on. But then, of course, there's lots of beautiful, tranquil things, and this concert still being going on. And there's beautiful fates in gardens all over the world, and there's many people that don't give a fuck about it. Everything's going on at the same time, Ziggy. It's just whatever we want to tune into. I'm not responsible for anybody's mind. I'm not responsible if they want to consider my videos chaos. But
Aaron, you said this is what your direct words is. You said this is where the world is going. So you have a stance. You're looking at it as if it was going toward a negative state. So if you see the world going toward a negative state from your worldview,
yeah, so
see, I look at the people I speak to as my children.
Was that World War, or was that about the euthanasia?
World War, euthanasia. I mean, you said this is where the world is going.
Let me look then. Okay, so when I say this is where the world going, when I look across the whole world, then I made an intellectual assessment, and it's absolutely looking very, very likely. And all the intellectuals all over the world, they're all talking about it. So I'm not speaking out my arse when I'm doing this, and so it's highly probable that that's the way the world's going. And just because I say it, it isn't going to increase the energy that it's going to go there anymore. I'm just one fucking dude. But if 100 million,
but it absolutely can, because there's a lot of people who believe what you say.
Yeah, we can get into the metaphysics of that, but you see, the metaphysics is.
But doesn't the metaphysics impact the physical?
And then the physical is another aspect, and there's people on this planet that are very, very driven with the physical. And so then with the euthanasia thing, when we've got governments all over the world and they're all tuning in to the euthanasia and they're introducing it, and they've all got this shall we resuscitate, sign here if you don't want us to resuscitate. This is just the fucking beginning. And so I can see the way the world's going. I'm no fool. I look at their agenda. I've been following the New World Order and the globalists for many, many years. And so that's my educated assessment of the way the world is going. And I'm guaranteeing that unless there's a vast change in consciousness, then those things are going to be implemented. And there's many people, Alex Jones and Russell Brand and all the people that, speak in these fraternities, Joe Rogan and all those that all meet together, they all are thinking at this moment in time that the powers
they all waiting for their destruction. That's what they're doing.
Let me just run this one by. They all think that the powers that be, they actually would go for a nuclear war, because they've all got their bunkers underground in fucking Hawaii, here, there, and everywhere, and they've made very, very, very precise calculations how many nuclear warheads they can let off. And I don't think for one fucking moment there is this conflict with Russia and America, because they're all in it together, because they're all going to share the fucking proceeds when the human race has been minimized. So it's all a ruse. It's all a fucking fiction that they are together. They're opposing each other. They're not. They're working together, and with their objective to absolutely reduce the populations, because the trillionaires and billionaires and all those people on the fucking planet, that's what they want to be. And that's what Bill Gates has been talking about for a long, long time. They're all eugenicists, people.
Aaron, so check this out. You said you get benefits from the government, right? Do you know that the benefits you get from the government are paid by the taxpayers?
No, they're not.
So where are they paid from?
They're paid from out of zeros and ones, which is printed at random whenever they want to do it. It's a ruse that
so now we go on metaphysical.
Is getting paid by people that work. That's complete bollocks. That's something that should have gone out of the human psyche about.
So the elderly people that we're trying to euthanize, they're getting their resources coming out of the ones and zeros the exact same way that you get paid benefits. It's the same thing. See, the whole thing is there's no such thing as poverty. It's a consciousness. It's like we're born abundant. We're only passed down a program of negativity. That's why I say that the world is the evil and man is good. That's why in the Bible it says Adam was created and it was very good. Everything that comes from man is very good, but you are only influenced by the evils if you have a weak mind, right? So I'm born rich and abundant. There's no lack in my life. That's how the mind should work. But you're operated in a system to make you believe there's lack so that you could depend on the system to get your resources from not knowing that the resources come from your own beautiful, conscious, abundant mind. You get what I'm saying? So, for example, there should never be a problem with lack of resources to take care of elderly, because one thing I did notice, and I could put this into practice, is that I've noticed at one point where I needed the money for something in a number of occasions and I didn't have it, but the moment that the time came that I needed the money somehow manifested for me in that moment in time. You get what I'm saying? That's how I know I'm abundant, because I'm like, yo, I didn't have the money. I needed the money at this moment in time, but it somehow happened to come through some type of channel where it came. Like I even told you that one time I was trying to get wood chips for my garden and it just manifested that I met a guy who happened to work in a tree company, came to my job, got into a conversation with me, told me he worked in a tree company. Now I got all the wood chips in the world. It's like there's always something available for you when your mind is open. But if your mind is closed and you're only closed toward the negative of the planet and you're telling everybody this is where the world is going, and not everybody is aware of how to keep their mind open, or you don't give them that ability to know that, that's where you kind of spread a mind virus. You get what I'm saying? This is why
with
and I hope you don't mind me challenging your views. This is why I wanted to.
Yeah, but with 200 viewers and 70 or 80% of them with minds of goldfish, I don't think we've got too much to worry about, to be fair.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. There 80 of them do have the mind of goldfish, and they'll manifest that world as a, because again, if the government wants the world to go a certain way, they're going to talk to the goldfish. You know that, right? They're not, the sovereign people aren't going to fall into that bubble. But there's only but a small select few of those. And when I look at these people, I look at them as my children, not to demean them, but just like I'm their children as well in their worldview, because they're showing me something even though they're aware or not aware. Everybody is a manifestation of what's inside of you. You get what I'm saying? And why I make a purpose to make my videos is because if I put out a message and I don't get as many views and whatnot, I'm still spreading a message to a powerful few. Because who runs this world? Do you think that the majority run this world? This world is ran by a small group of families. Yet the meek inherit the world, right? And they're here in the world governed by that small little few. This is why I say the message has to come empowered from God. But I don't think people know what God is. I think people think that God is just whatever energy flows through them. And that's not how it works. Because that's why when I told you before, I don't even know why I haven't challenged these big YouTubers. I'm going to fucking do it. You know why I'm going to do it? Because when I see Infinite Waters, I think he's catering to making money off telling people what they want to hear. And it's a cult-like mentality. And that shit pisses me off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it pisses me off, but I channel that anger that's negative into something that's going to be constructive. That's what gives me the vitality and energy. You know what I'm saying? People want to demonize. Oh, you shouldn't get angry. Oh, you shouldn't get, you know, this. All these negative emotions have a lot of power. Just transmute it.
You know me. I've always had a bone of contention. And Infinite Waters has always been one of the guys I've had in the forefront, and I've always, you know, called him out on his bullshit. He's got, I don't know how many viewers. He's last time I looked, I don't know, many years ago, he had 54,000. And so, you know, it's probably in the millions now. And he'd be very wealthy on telling people this, it's all love and light and it's all fucking cotton wool. So I have but you see the world is going into a negative state, yet people think he's spreading a message of some type of positivity. Yeah, so here's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Ziggy. See, you're asking questions about, and you're saying that, you know, I may be instilling negative thoughts into 200 viewers when he's instilling very, very destructive, what appear to be positive thoughts into probably millions of viewers by now. But what he's actually doing is he's weakening their constitution. He's making them all think that it's all
That's
love and
right.
light. Jesus is going to save them.
Yeah.
When Jesus ain't never saved no fucker, nor is God, nor are they about to. So if they come over to my channel and they listen to me, then they might just start to realize that the only cunt that's going to be saving anybody is yourself. And so you better start thinking for yourself, and you better take some of the things the Awaken Break says seriously, and you better start thinking about these things and talking amongst your friends. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm inciting a riot in the love and light camp. I'm throwing a fucking fire in the hole of the love and light. And I'm saying, look, people, we've got to get some balance here, because there's too many assholes out there making a million and making a fucking mockery of the human race by creaming in all the money, all the Sadhgurus, all the Mujis that charge £2,000 a fucking time for a weekend at satsang to go and stick at their fucking sandals and listen to the same shit they can get on a fucking YouTube video. Now, you know, if anybody wants to throw a fire in the fucking hole and bring attention to that, then I'm the first to do that. So I do that, and I do lots of other things, and I'll deploy tactics and energies to get people to think about themselves, because there's lots of people, Ziggy, that think in different ways and feel in different ways. They're emotional,
Absolutely.
they're everywhere. So I will do all different sorts of things. And so, you know, what I say is, if anybody can pick one negative video or 5 negative videos, if you look through the lineage of my videos, then you will see 50 very positive videos with a good message, with a sound education, and all the rest of it. And so what can we make of that then? Well, what we make of it, that people get triggered because what they've heard isn't conducive to what they want to see the world to be, because they think in a certain way. And so, you know, this is what you're doing. You'll say, well, why this and why that? Because you have a way that thinking that everyone's valuable and everyone's this and everyone's that. Well, I mean, I'm not of that frame of mind, you know, because I will question. I will go, well, what is value? Show me value. Where value?
So what should you do with what doesn't value? You said you should destroy what doesn't value?
No, I mean, look, I don't have anything which is concrete written down, any of these things. I just free flow speak about stuff, Ziggy. But what I'm saying is when the population...
But I'm trying to figure out why, where does that come from? You're saying you're free flowing, and, you know, creativity comes out of free flow, to be fair to you. But in actuality, there's no roots out of free flowing. It's just chaotic. What I'm asking is this. All right, so let me ask, we in the beginning of the video, you asked me what would I tell people this channel is about, right? Let me ask you this in return. If I was to suggest somebody your video, what would be, and I was telling them, yo, this guy's got the enlightening way to show you the way. What would be the message in a short paragraph that you would make a video to enlighten people on the planet?
Listen to this guy, because he'll introduce you to avenues of your psychology which you've never even knew was there.
Mm-hmm.
If people are not too afraid or too disinterested to want to do that, then they'll come and listen to me. And many people over the years, you know, have praised how my mind works and the things I've said and the value that I've got. Very, very few people actually have a bone of contention with me. And so, look, when I'm talking about this euthanasia thing, there's many things.
Wait. I want to get into that topic, but
I'm going on it because there's a point I need to make.
But let me just ask you this one last thing.
When you look at the world, the population is getting older and older and older, more and more resources. They're building more and more old people's homes, and more businesses are capitalizing on the old folk, and more kids, children, offspring are being stressed. You know, I made a video and I said about, you know, any of you with got aging parents, tell me you're not stressed. Tell me you've not looked at the house and wondered how much that's fucking worth and whether you're ever going to see any of that money. And one of the women that's a long-term viewer of mine, she says, I work in a care home and I 100% agree with you about the old people. Nobody cares anymore, Ziggy. Contrary to what you are saying, nobody cares about the old people. Nobody even cares about people when they're going to hospital. It's just a fucking job. Nobody's interested. And so people are interested in money these days. That's the way the world's going. They want to get their hands on some property and some fucking liberty. They want their liberty back. They don't want to be an arse wiper for the next 20 years with the old stick that just, you know, there's nothing there anymore. So what I'm saying is that there's a route for personal freedom and emancipation with a new level of education. That's what I'm saying. You know, and I'm coming at it from where they're coming at it from, Ziggy. They are the ones that are ruling the world. They are the ones that are having the governments. They are the ones that are going to be implementing it because they know it's right.
But do you side with that?
I do side with that, yeah.
So then, okay, so then you're at the side of degeneration.
How complex mentors, how able-bodied they are, and all this sort of thing. It's not like the island when you're 30 years old, you disappear. You know, Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World. It was a utopia.
But you're not a spiritual being. You said you're a physical being. Then they can't be metaphysical because they're not spiritual. They're just in the side of physical because they're only in the interest of a profit for money. That's it. No, spirituality has nothing to do with that.
It's not, though, is it? It's not. You know, it's the whole thing. It's not just the money. It's the whole thing.
You said you side with the side of light, but you're not in the side of dark. Now, if you're in the side of light, when we talked about it in previous videos, you said that we're all Christ-like figures. Was Christ a healer or was Christ a degenerator?
I said look. I never say I side 100% with anything. I say it's yin and yang, and I'm.
You side with light.
I'm Libra.
No, I got. You said you side with light, but there's really nothing good about the darkness. That's what you said. There's no information. There's nothing good in light. One of our chats. I'll go back and look at it, but
nothing
I know you said. Light. Yeah, you said that you side toward light, not toward darkness. I asked you that specific question. But you said you side toward the light and not the darkness.
Yeah, well, I do side mostly towards the light, but of course it's the yin and the yang. The darkness is important because without the dark there'd be no light. So you got to take both things into context. And
but light is a light giver.
We live and we die. So let's not forget that we die, and most of us die horribly in pain and a great deal of suffering, and that will very, very rarely be relieved. It's a fact of life, and so the more we get in tune with the fact of life that we're going to die, and we've got X amount of years, and stop denying our death, and then make provisions for our death, and then have some sort of a jurisdiction over our own death, like this whole thing with euthanasia. People they need to have the choice. And then when, like her next door or grandma or whatever, when they say, yeah, I'm done now. I don't want to be a burden on the world. I don't want this company, this old people's home. I don't want to be in this fucking old people's homes, you know, $4 grand a fucking month and, you know, all the money gone. No,
because they left a bad legacy, though. They left a bad legacy.
Some may think that. You may think that. But, you know, there's probably, you know...
Well, why would it not be that? What happens if you left a good legacy? You wouldn't have those type of issues. Well, anything that's degeneration toward the humankind is a negative thought pattern. That's all it is.
Any what?
It's negative thought patterns. It's negativity that leads toward the degeneration of the human race or anything that comes into the physical realm. Humanity relies on positivity, but there's also toxic positivity. You know what I'm saying? Toxic masculinity. But one needs to know the way between what is toxic and what is masculine, because there's paradoxes in both sides, just like there's yin and yang and negative and positive. Mm-hmm. Just like there's necessary evils. One would say, you know, feminine energy is negative, but negative energy is also attractive. Drama is attractive. That's negative, right? But we rely on magnetism for us to manifest here in this reality to have a positive experience.
But you know, you can't deny the negative energy. You can't deny the dark. You can't deny the.
I didn't deny the dark.
You've got to accept it all. And you know, if you are wholly tuned into Christ consciousness and it's all love and it's all light, well, that's all bollocks. Because all we
it's not about love and light. I bash those people on my channel all the time, the love and lighters.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to be negative and edgy.
Well, yeah,
but the whole thing is behind.
So sometimes I
behind
like the energy.
Yeah,
and you know, sometimes I relish in having the devil sitting on my shoulder. So what of it? You know, look, the way I see it is, I'm not anybody's mother, and many people all over the world, this very moment in time, they are opining what they fucking think about the world. You've got all different people like Candace Owens or whatever, you know, campaigning for fucking abortion rights and this, that, and the other. You know, basically, you know, she's calling on death, giving people the right to have jurisdiction over life. There's people out there far bigger than me, far greater and far more important and more powerful.
They're just giving their opinions, though.
Sorry?
They're just giving their opinions. That's all it is.
Right.
These people are they're just giving. No, I get it, but bro, I fuck with you, bro. I don't want you to think. Yo, I want you to understand something. I'm talking to you. I like you. You know what I'm saying? And I fuck with you. But I hope you don't mind when I challenge your views. It's not like I don't care. I care less what the fuck you talk about. I don't care. I don't care. You know why I like these contents? Because it's like we're creating some type of content here for people to listen to. But it's not like I'm going to go to war with you and oppose you. I don't give a fuck what you talk about. No, it's just that if I have the ability to come on camera to talk to you, you even said this. Look, you said this. If anybody has anything to say, come forward and say it on camera. Don't you ask for that?
No, it's
okay,
great.
I'm giving you what you asked for.
Yeah, you give me exactly what I asked for, because you know what's important to see. If we are going to be firm in our opinions, then we have to be challenged.
Right.
We have to be challenged in
exactly.
ways. And you see what you are doing now, you are priming me for the future, when one day I probably will be on the stage somewhere on a big platform, and when people challenge me, I'll always go, well, Ziggy's already asked me that question and I already formulated the answer. And so
exactly.
This is what we
I'm
do.
only making you better, just like you can make me better.
Yes, yeah. And so,
let me ask you this. Is there any contradictions in the things that I have said that you have pointed out? I'm very curious to know this from a person like you. What contradictions have you observed in the messages that I've actually portrayed?
There isn't anything like the amount of contradictions that I have, because you don't broach the amount of subjects. And when you speak about something, you're speaking about something which you have a first-hand knowledge in, whether it's your particular vocation of your health, or whether it's your garden and your plants and your growings and the everyday things around you. And so they're sort of things that everybody could accept readily without having an issue with, because you don't broach the very controversial subjects, and you don't just throw them out there like I do. And so,
bro, I throw some controversial subjects out there for sure.
Really?
Trust me, I throw some real controversial subjects out there.
So, well, it's just that I looked on your channel, right? You not put up a video for about a month because you've been moving.
Well, the thing is that yeah, because I've been very busy with like selling these homes, moving stuff from one place to another. I've been finishing my education and whatnot. So, and you know, gardening has kind of gotten. I've done a lot more shorts now, where I've been putting a lot of stuff for, you know, gardening and the cats and whatnot. But I've been a little bit busy, not in a bad way. I've been busy in a good way. Some, you know, money. I've had money coming my way, which is pretty good. So I've had to pay attention to certain businesses and whatnot. But other than that, man, I mean, when I do make a video, I made a video just yesterday. It was yesterday, the day before yesterday. And I'm very, very happy with that video, and the way I actually made a voiceover over my own video just to clarify a lot of the things that I said, kind of like reviewing my own video. But if anybody wants to know pretty much what I'm about and the type of mentality that I come from as far as negative and positive, they'll get all the answers from that video. You know what I'm saying? It's probably like an hour long, but it's very in-depth.
I'll tune into that one tonight. So we're up now to 2 hours 45 minutes. So we'll wrap this one up for 3 hours as we normally do. And so just to wrap this one up, then I mean, as far as my videos and my philosophy and my projections and my deep-rooted emotional scars and all that, everything, what I am as a human being comes out in my videos, because I'm uninhibited, I'm free flow, I don't shy away from talking about anything. And I'm pretty callous in what I say, because I realise that there's all sorts out there. And I've known over the years that nobody cares, really, what I say over and above any other. You know, when I put up my rants and things like that, you know, in actual fact, they get more views than less, more likes than less. And so I just go, well, look, even on some of my videos, Ziggy, I think twice about putting them up. But then I go, they love this fucking shit. And when I look into the camera and call all my fucking viewers cunts and this, that, and the other, it should be an indication to them that they shouldn't be taking me too seriously in any shape or form. Because, you know, would I call you a cunt? There's loads of people that I engage with that, you know, I've got a lot of respect for, a lot of time, or a lot of friends. But they know I'm not speaking to them, and they know I'm not meaning anything personal. But some people do. The fragile people do think it's personal because they don't know how I operate. But, you know, I'm doing all this stuff for effect, and lots of people seem to feed on that because they're so oppressed themselves. They go, I wish I could tell it like you did. I wish I had your energy. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. So many people are living vicariously through me when Supercilious comes out. And so, you know, we have to go figure on lots of these things. You know, Adolf Hitler rose to his power because the zeitgeist of the time fucking needed him. You know, and I think that people are going to be needing more people like me because they're going to be needing to get some balls from somewhere. They're going to be needing to get some vocalization from somewhere. They're going to be needing, you know, to gather their shit together somewhere. And so what I'm doing is, it's kind of like, you know, the distant part of my mind, I'm aware that what I'm doing, I'm paving the way for difficult times. And I'm making sure that everybody's aware of the shit that's coming down. So it ain't all cotton wool and it ain't all fucking roses. Shit's coming down, people. Have no fucking doubt about it. The world is going to turn inside out. All different sorts of stuff is going to happen. Alien fucking announcement, Third World War, the fucking bird flu, you know, terrorism, all different sorts of shit. They're going to keep throwing that shit at us constantly, because they're struggling to manage us. And so we've got to know what's going on in the world. And so we've got to regroup. We've got to come in ourselves, and we've got to ask ourselves what we consider to be real and what we're prepared to do. And I'm calling out Americans, guys. I'm going, all you 1776 boys, are you fucking ready? Are you ready to put your balls where your fucking mouth is? Because you'll shoot your mouth off and you've all got your fucking Air-15s and this, that, and the other. Are you prepared to get out in the street and do it? You know, and are you fit enough to run more than 10 yards without having a fucking heart attack? You know, because I don't think most of you are, to be fair. You know, I watched a video. Somebody sent me a 15-minute video of one of these guys that goes out into the street, Ziggy, and interviewing people and saying things like, what's 3 times 7? And then people just going, 2 times 7, 14.
Wow.
28.
21.
28. You know, they say absolutely crazy, amazing things.
Wait, you say it's 28?
No, they were saying it was 28. People.
Oh,
and then there was this guy said, okay, so who was involved between the war with Mexico and America? And then they go, was it Russia? Was it Canada? You know, this sort of thing. I'll send you the link. It's absolutely incredible. This is the state of America. You know, and
I've got a good short to send you also, actually, that actually the media uses this tactic. I'm going to send it to you. I got to see if what your views on that are.
Now, of course, this video that is posted is selected from all the worst, because there's no doubt an equal amount or more that could actually do some math and would know a little bit about geography. But geography isn't America's greatest asset, is it? You know, and people coming out of the education system, they don't really know anything. They asked this question: how many moons does the Earth have? And one guy said 38. And then another girl says 2. You know, seriously, Ziggy, they know nothing. They're in trouble. They're in big fucking trouble. And so, you know, I'm paving the way. I'm a bit like John the Baptist, who paved the way for Jesus. That's what I'm doing. But I'm paving the way.
Well, let me... before you cut it off, I want to make sure I leave my final thoughts. I want to make sure that I don't come in here with bad blood towards you. I'm just challenging your views, something that you ask for when people come in. I just, like, you know, there's certain, I agree with a lot of the stuff you say, but then there's stuff that I'm like, man, I really got to ask, where does this come from? Where does this stem from? You know what I'm saying? I like to get to the root of that. And don't ever think that I'm doing it in a malicious way. I'm doing it in a way where it's kind of like, you know, let's have a conversation and make content. One of the things that drew me to your channel in the beginning was a conversation that you had in the beach with your friend, Mr. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? And that was years ago.
On the beach?
On the beach.
No, would it
It
be
was in the
Patrick?
beach.
Was it Patrick down in Portugal?
Patrick in Portugal. Yeah. Very first video I watched of you, and the conversations you were having, I was like, wow, man, shit. If I was in there, I was fucking like, I would have added my 2 cents in there and stuff like that. That's what drew me to your channel. But then now I have the opportunity to talk to you, and that's a beautiful thing because we kind of have like minds that can mesh and kind of conclude onto certain things, or maybe not conclude onto certain things, or it's kind of like a binaural beat where you're about one beat, I'm one beat, and then the observer gets that third, makes the interpretation of that third beat, kind of like how our brains and minds work. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I enjoy the chat, but it's something that I like to do. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I like to engage in a conversation where we can basically challenge each other's views. You know what I'm saying? That's why I even asked you directly, do you find any contradictions? I would have liked to clarify any of the contradictions you may have observed and whatnot. If you could watch my last video, you find any contradictions there, maybe we could talk about that video, if anything. I will be picking up your book. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't get a chance to do it, but I'm going to do it. I haven't prioritized it. Not to say that you're not important or anything like that.
You've been busy, you know.
I just haven't prioritized.
Look, this book's a long book, and you know, there's a lot of subject matter in there that's going to need some concentration. And you know, people fly through the book because they think like it's a fucking race. You know, but the book's going to take some contemplating if you're going to get anything out of it, because I broach lots of deep psychological things, lots of global things. You know, when I'm asking, what is love? What is faith? What is ego? You know, what is soul? What is spirit? And you know, then I'm speaking about where I came from, you know, and how it came to be, and all of the stepping stones that I stepped over on the journey, which seemed miraculously just placed before me. You know, it's a very educational book from a humanistic perspective, but also from a globalistic perspective, because I bring lots of the big subject matter. I put excerpts in from the Big Bang, what the latest scientists are saying about the Big Bang these days. It's fucking important if we want to know some of this stuff. And then I'm putting in about the evolution, and then I'm putting about the failings of religions, and then I'm putting in stuff like the simulation, you know, and other scientific things, what people have thought about the world, and the massive subjects which haven't gone away. You know, they're the things that are so prominent in the world, and so they're all in there to read. You know, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Plato. You know, powerful stuff. When I've come upon certain things in my life, they've come into my life to show me the way. You know, they have held a torch. Their spirits held a torch. It's phenomenal from that perspective. When I was absolutely down and out in the dark night of the soul, and then I came upon Plato's Cave. It's some dusty old fucking book that I just came upon in a second-hand bookshop, and I was just buying up all this philosophy and psychology just because Spirit told me to do it. And then I started to read about Plato's Cave, the analogy of Plato's Cave, and I went, that's exactly where I fucking am. Wow, that's fucking incredible. Yeah. You know, it's powerful stuff. If people have got the mind for it, you'll have the mind for it if you apply yourself to it. Don't rush through it, and just sit there and absorb it. And then I'm sure you'll have 1,000,000,001 other questions for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, man, it's a pleasure talking to you anytime, man. You know, thank you for the chat. Thank you for having me on. Yes, sir. I think, you know, till next time, hit me up when you want to have another chat.
Yeah, so we'll do it another 2 or 3 weeks or something like that.
Absolutely, man.
Doing a few more chats with different people these days. The channel's growing now, 1,300 subscribers, more engagement and that. And so, you know, let's just see what comes of it. And of course, whilst we've got one eye on the grindstone, then we've got one ear tuned into what's coming for us. So we always got to bear this in mind. Keep them peeled, mate. All right, Ziggy.
Yes, sir.
Love you, man. Appreciate you.
Love you, bro. Be good, all right?